This is not a story of kings, nor of wars, nor of fame. This is the story of the forgotten, the quiet souls whose days were never written down but who lived, just like you and me. In the dust of 1770, a small life begins. Slow, unseen. Close your eyes. Let the silence guide you. Let the story begin. The wind whispers secrets to the trees as they stand tall and proud, their branches swaying gently in the breeze. The sun peeks over the horizon, casting its golden rays upon the land below. The sound echoes through the valley, carrying with it the promise of a fresh start. A young woman named Mary stirs in her sleep. She stretches out her arms and yawns, her eyes fluttering open. She listens to the rooster crowing and feels a sense of peace wash over her. Today is going to be a good day. It's a new day in the year 1770, and the birds are singing their sweet melodies to welcome it. At first she couldn't tell what it was, but as it got closer, she realized it was a man. He was walking toward her and he was carrying a basket. Mary smiles as she recognizes him. It's Thomas, one of the farmhands who helps out on her family's farm. It is a beautiful day, he agrees. The two of them stand in silence for a moment, just enjoying the peace and quiet of the countryside. Then Thomas speaks up. He says that he doesn't think that he's ready for such a big commitment. Mary is devastated. She can't believe that Thomas would say such a thing. She thought that he loved her. She thought that they had something special. She's a strong, beautiful woman, and she'll find someone who loves her for who she is. But maybe she was wrong, Mary, he says. I need to ask you something. Mary's heart skips a beat. Could this be it? I just need some time to think things over. Named Mary, who wakes up to a brand new day in the year 1770. The story unfolds at a leisurely pace. We see this in the way Mary reacts to her interactions with Thomas, a farmhand who she's secretly in love with. Despite being deeply affected by Thomas's words, she finds solace in the unwavering support of her family. The silent call reminds us of the power of love, loss, and healing. It shows us that even in the quietest moments, profound emotions can be experienced. Furthermore, the story highlights the importance of family and community in times of need, and the strength and resilience of the human spirit in overcoming adversity. Through their love and care, Mary begins to heal and finds the strength to move forward. The story builds our anticipation as we observe Mary's hopes and dreams regarding Thomas and the possibility of a future together. But these aspirations are met with a sudden and unexpected blow when Thomas reveals his own uncertainty about their relationship. It's a story that resonates with us on a deeper emotional level, reminding us of the complexities of love and relationships and the importance of family and resilience in our lives. This creates a dramatic shift in the narrative, leaving us to share in Mary's disappointment and sorrow, much like the progression of time itself. As we follow Mary's daily routine, we witness the subtle beauty of rural life during that era. The story highlights the simplicity and tranquility of her existence, as she tends to her chores and interacts with the people around her. I understand, Thomas, Mary says, trying to keep her voice steady. Take all the time you need. Mary is heartbroken. She goes back to the house and locks herself in her room. She doesn't want anyone to see her crying. She feels betrayed and hurt by Thomas. She thought that he was the one, but maybe he's not. Maybe she'll never find true love. Is Thomas going to ask her to marry him? Yes, Thomas, she says softly. What is it? Thomas begins. Then he stops. He takes a deep breath and looks away. And they've been comforting her since she told them about Thomas. Don't worry, Mary, her mother says. You'll find someone better than Thomas, someone who loves you and respects you. I hope so, Mary replies. Never mind, he says. It's nothing. She knows that she's got a lot of living to do, and she's excited to see what the future holds for her. She may not have found true love yet, but she's sure that it's out there somewhere. And when she finds it, she'll hold on to it with all her might. He's a strong and silent man, but Mary likes him. If there's anything wrong, you can talk to me. I know, Thomas says, but I don't want to burden you with my problems. Don't be silly, Thomas, Mary says. You're not burdening me. I want to help you, but I can't if you don't tell me what's wrong. Thomas hesitates, but then he takes another deep breath. All right, Mary, he says, here goes nothing. She's been hoping that he would ask her to marry him for some time now, but there's a sense of calm in the air, a feeling that today will be different. that something special is about to happen. As he gets closer, Mary's heart starts to race. Could this be the day that Thomas asks her to marry him? She thinks about how happy she would be if he did. They would make a good team, she thinks. Thomas is strong and hardworking, and Mary is a good cook and homemaker. Together, they could have a wonderful life. In the distance, a rooster crows, announcing to the world that it's time to wake up. She can see the sweat on his forehead and the dirt on his clothes. She knows that he's been working hard in the fields all day. "Hello, Thomas," she says. "How are you?" "I'm fine, Mary," Thomas replies. "Just finishing up in the fields." "How are you?" "I'm well," Mary says. "Just enjoying the beautiful day." The air is fresh and clean, and she breathes it in deeply. She feels alive. She walks through the fields. She thinks about how lucky she is to live such a peaceful life. She loves her farm and the animals that live there. She loves the crops that grow in the fields and the food that they will provide for her family. She loves the trees that provide them with wood for their home and the flowers that add color to their lives. She loves everything about her life here. She sits up in bed and looks around the room. The walls are made of wood and the roof is thatched with straw. There's a simple dresser in one corner and a small table next to the bed. On the table is a pitcher of water and a wooden bowl. Mary gets out of bed and walks over to the pitcher. She pours some water into the bowl and washes her face. She looks at her reflection in the water and smiles. She's beautiful. Her hair is a flowing golden brown and her eyes are a sparkling blue. Her skin is pale from days spent indoors, but she's healthy and strong. Mary dresses in a simple cotton nightgown and goes to the window. She looks out over the fields and meadows that surround her family's farm. The sun is now higher in the sky, and the birds are singing even louder. The flowers are blooming, and the trees are rustling in the wind. It's a perfect day. Mary turns away from the window and walks to the door. She opens it and steps outside. She comes to a stop as she hears a noise in the distance. Thomas sees Mary, and he smiles, waves to her, and she waves back. When Thomas is close enough, Mary stops daydreaming and focuses on him. Thomas looks out over the fields and meadows. Mary's heart sinks. She tries to hide her disappointment, but she knows that Thomas can see right through her. "Thomas," she says. Thomas tells Mary that he's been having second thoughts about marrying her. "I'm sorry, Mary," Thomas says. "I didn't mean to hurt you." As the hours pass, Mary's heart begins to heal. She knows that she's better off without Thomas. He's not worth her tears. Later that evening, Mary is sitting by the fire in her family's home. Her mother and father are with her as the fire crackles and pops. Mary looks up at the ceiling and thinks about her future. The end. This piece is titled "The Silent Call." It paints a picture of a day in the life of a young woman, however. Beneath this placid surface, there's a deeper current of emotion. Yet as the story progresses, we also witness Mary's resilience and strength. So why is this story important? In conclusion, The Silent Call is more than just a simple tale of daily life. And if you liked this video, please subscribe for more amazing stories and check out these other awesome videos from us. Thanks for watching. The first track on the album is called Field Path. What's interesting about this title is that there's two meanings to it. I wanted to say that while the music videos help us understand the story better and bring these songs to life, this song follows William on his way to work. However, towards the end, when he's almost at work, we hear a faint drum beat underneath the piano. Lawrence gives a powerful performance here. Her voice cracks and wavers as she portrays William's exhaustion and despair. I want to warn you that the subject matter is disturbing and can be triggering. Please take care of yourself and stop watching if you need to. They happen to real people who lived, loved, and suffered just like us. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. By confronting this painful history, we honor their memory and commit ourselves to building a better future. This song depicts a horrific part of William's story. It's graphic and emotionally intense. Now I woe and go into detail here, because I do and want to desensitize you to these events. But I think it's important to remember that slavery was real and it was brutal.
What?
And this album doesn't shy away from depicting that reality. In an interview, she talked about how she prepared for this role. It's almost like we can feel the darkness in the room. Then William enters, and we hear him being questioned by the overseer. He asks William why he hasn't finished his work, and William responds that he has tried to do his best, but the hope broke. However, the overseer doesn't believe him, and he orders him to kneel down, knowing that this will happen. William prays to God for help, but it's not forthcoming. Instead, he feels abandoned and forsaken, sings, "Lord, I've been patient and long-suffering, but my soul is weary with this life. Lord, I've been faithful and true serving, but my body's sore with this life." He begs the overseer to cut his head off instead of whipping him, but his pleas fall on deaf ears. Suddenly, the music stops. There is a pause, and then we hear the overseer grab William by the hair and pull him back, readying himself for the whip. At this point, the music swells, and we hear the unmistakable crack of the whip against William's skin. Over and over again, we hear him screaming in pain. The overseer grows angrier and angrier, yelling obscenities. And as the song reaches its climax, he whips him even harder. Finally, the overseer stops. Panting, he tells William that he's going to die. Then the music fades out, leaving us with the sound of William crying. She said, "I didn't want to make a caricature of a black man or a caricature of a suffering person. So I just tried to inhabit it in the way that I could as a white English woman, drawing on everything I knew about human endurance." Well, I think she succeeded. Even though she's not black herself, she still manages to capture the essence of his sorrow and frustration. Her voice conveys the emotional weight of his situation, making us feel the toll that slavery has taken on him. At first, it's very subtle, but it starts to get louder and louder as he approaches his destination. If you're enjoying this video and learning something new, would you mind hitting the like button? It really helps me out. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, just hit subscribe. Thank you so much. The reason for this is because the entire soundtrack was recorded live. So when they were recording this song, the piano and Florence's voice were recorded in one room. And then later, the drums were added in another room. This technique is called overdubbing, where you record one instrument at a time. For most of the song, these two parts are kept separate. But as he gets closer to the plantation, the walls between them begin to break down. The drums bleed through, signifying the breaking point in William's journey. When he finally arrives at the plantation, we hear the full force of the drum. It's loud, it's demanding, and it completely drowns out the piano and Florence's voice. The only thing we can hear now is the rhythmic thumping of his shackles as he submits to the beat. Now, he doesn't wake up before sunrise like Florence did. Instead, he's awakened by the rooster. He lays there for a moment, listening to the birds until finally he sits up. Then he gets up, washes his face, puts on his clothes, ties his shoes, and leaves the house. His wife Martha watches him leave. In her eyes, there's a quiet sadness. She stands there looking at him until he disappears around the bend. Now, unlike Field Path, which was full of imagery that evoked joy and peace, like the sunrise and the flowers, the simplicity of William's routine and Martha's melancholy sets a much quieter, more somber tone. The music underscores this feeling. Florence chose to play William on the piano, and it's the only instrument featured on this track apart from her voice. There are no drums, no strings, no swelling crescendos. It's a very slow, deliberate piece, allowing us to connect with the quiet desperation that builds with each measure. As we listen to William's footsteps getting fainter and fainter, we realize that this isn't a song about excitement or enthusiasm. It's a song about resignation. It's about the burden of daily life in the 1770s. A lot of people today have jobs that they don't necessarily love, but they still get some sort of joy or satisfaction from it. Maybe they learn new skills, meet new friends, or just have a sense of pride in a job well done. But this isn't the case for William. He's just going to work because he has to. There's no other option for him. Life is hard. Work is hard. But for William, work is especially hard because he's not free. He's a slave. And as he walks along, we can only imagine the many hardships that brought him to this point. The fact that his wife is watching him with such sadness only adds to the weight of his chains. Please don't feel like you need to watch them to get the most out of the album. I mean, they're great, but you can listen to these songs anywhere, anytime. Still appreciate the beautiful storytelling, even if you haven't seen the videos. That being said, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Do you prefer listening to the music with or without the music video? Let me know in the comments below. One relates to the countryside where we see these characters walking along a path, but also in the sense of the job that they do, which is farming, working the fields. So the song opens up with these acoustic guitar arpeggios. Very simple, earthy, grounded, no drums, just a few instruments, strings, bass, piano. all playing very sparsely, giving us this sense of space and time to take in these beautiful lyrics by Florence. She starts off by telling us about how she woke up early in the morning before sunrise, went outside, her hair wet from the rain, hands in her lap, sat down on a stone wall, watched the sun come up. As she does this every day, she sees the cows coming up, the rooster crows, the birds are flying past. These are the sounds of the countryside. This is what she knows, loves, and is comfortable with. So after watching the sunrise, she gets up, shakes off her skirt, throws some dirt at a cat, joins the other women who are ready to go pick up sticks and feed the cattle. They walk out into the fields, their shadows stretch out long behind them. And then the second verse starts with another beautiful image of the cows' bells ringing as they walk. And then we stand knee-deep in the high grass, wind pulling my skirt around my legs. This image of the tall grass is very important, because the whole time we have this feeling of being surrounded by nature, almost engulfed by it. Later on, she sings, "I push the tall grass aside to hear the blackbirds sing, and then the grasshoppers are silent now, and the field mice flee." So from the start of the album, this idea of nature enveloping them has been established, and it will only grow as the album progresses. The song ends with the women finishing their work as the sun goes down and they return home. Again, this sets the stage for us. We know now where our story takes place and what the daily life is like for these people. It's simple, it's hard, it's honest work. Now before we move on to the next song, next up is Silent Steps. Now as I mentioned earlier, there are no drums on this track. Now let's talk about the vocals. Now let's move on to the third track on the album. But before we do, I wanted to ask you a favor. Alright, the third track on the album is called The Whipping, before we listen to this song. Okay, so the song begins with a heavy bass line and ominous string arrangement. Immediately there's this feeling of dread. It's important to remember that these events aren't just historical. That's all I have for today. It's almost 2 p.m. You wake up feeling heavy and lethargic. Water sounds often bring peace and relaxation. And since we're feeling lethargic, we can add some subtle background noises of flowing water. Now let's think about the second part. Rice. Let's move on to the second part. Afternoon. The word afternoon brings a sense of slow time. It's the moment right before labor ends. But the body is already feeling tired. The sun is high up, and the light is soft and warm. I start by adding the flowing water as the background music, and I bring in the footage of the hand dipping into the bucket. I darken it and add some subtle filters to make it look steamy and hazy. I overlap the video of the setting sun and adjust the brightness and contrast to make it more melancholic. I finish it off by adding the sound of cicadas and a few shots of a bicycle moving through the town. And here's the final result. There's a slight haze in the air, making everything look a bit dreamy and nostalgic. Some of you might feel bored or confused, but that's okay. Not every video is meant to be understood. Some works of art are meant to be experienced. The title of the video helps guide the viewer's interpretation, but it's not meant to be a literal description of what's happening. The beauty of this video lies in its subtlety. The steamy, hazy visuals combined with the gentle flowing water creates a dreamlike atmosphere. It's a feeling of tranquility and nostalgia, a moment of stillness before the chaos of the evening rush begins. It's a tribute to the quiet endurance of those who work tirelessly in the hot sun. A celebration of the simple pleasures in life, and a reminder to take time to appreciate the beauty of everyday moments. You can feel the heat radiating from the pavement, and the only sound is the gentle hum of cicadas. Do you feel the lethargy and the quiet endurance of the midday heat? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. It's a time for rest, but not quite yet. You know that once the sun dips below the horizon, the cool evening breeze will arrive and bring a sense of relief. But until then, you must endure the heat and find ways to stay cool. This feeling of fading light and post-labor fatigue is something I want to capture in the video. It's a subtle, melancholic mood, but it's important not to overdo it. The video shouldn't feel depressing or hopeless. It should feel more like a quiet reflection, a moment of stillness before the evening rush begins. When you hear the word rice, you may think of Japanese gardens, tea ceremonies, or maybe even rice paper. They might seem unrelated at first, but if we arrange them in the right order, they'll create a beautiful story without even showing a single rice field. Da 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 da. As a director, my job is to guide the audience's imagination and create an immersive experience. And this is where the magic of filmmaking truly lies. Now let's find the right footage to tell this story. It's a bit more zen than what we're going for. You need something more somber, more melancholy. First, I found some footage of a hand dipping into a bucket of water. It's not exactly what I'm looking for, but I can work with it. Next, I search for the midday sun, and I come across this video of sunlight shining through trees. It's a bit too bright and lively, but it gives me an idea. I could darken the footage and make it more hazy, kind of like how you see through a steamy window. Finally, I search for haze afternoon, which leads me to this video of a bike ride through a small town. It's perfect. The sun is setting, casting a golden glow on the houses. There's a slight haze in the air, giving everything a dreamlike quality. The trees are swaying in the gentle breeze, and the sound of cicadas fills the air. This video has everything I need. In Chinese culture, there's a dish called watery rice, which is basically rice soup. I remember my grandma making this when I was young, and she always served it with pickled cabbage and pickles. To me, watery rice isn't just food. It symbolizes poverty, survival, and most of all, quiet endurance. It's not a sad dish per se, but more of a representation of hard work and perseverance through tough times. And when I think about the midday heat in the village and the farmers who endure it every day, this imagery fits perfectly. So I want to incorporate this into the video somehow. Your day starts now. We have the flowing water and the imagery of watery rice. What kind of video do you see in your head? Maybe a farmer working in a rice field during the hot summer afternoon.
But I want to focus more on the feeling rather than the literal interpretation.
This is where the power of suggestion comes in. Instead of showing the actual rice field, I can use other visual elements to evoke the same feeling. For example, instead of showing a farmer working in the rice field, I can show a close-up of someone's hand picking up a water bucket, or instead of showing the actual rice field, I can pan over a still body of water, allowing the viewer to imagine what lies beyond the surface. And by doing so, I believe the video will have a stronger impact because it will force the audience to actively participate in creating the imagery. Their own imagination will fill in the gaps, and they all feel more connected to the video as a result. This is one of the main reasons why I prefer to include minimal text in my videos, by not spelling out the emotions or ideas. I challenge the viewer to interpret the video in their own way, and in doing so, they'll form a deeper connection with the content. I also find it more fun to watch videos without text, because it's like solving a puzzle. You have to put the pieces together and draw your own conclusions. And when you finally figure it out, it feels more rewarding. Plus, it stimulates your imagination, which is something that we don't really exercise nowadays. Everything is readily available at our fingertips, so it's nice to take a step back and allow your mind to wander. This is how it feels like to be in a rural village in China, and I want to capture that sensation in this video. So let's start off with the audio. The first thing that comes to mind is water. Now let's combine these two elements. Alright, back to the video. So we've established the audio and the overall feeling we're going for. We have three elements now: watery rice, midday heat, and the afternoon haze. I begin searching online for each individual element, looking for images and videos that capture their essence. Now it's time to put the pieces together and create the final video. This video doesn't have a clear beginning, middle, or end. It's more like a feeling, a moment in time. So what do you think? Did I capture the essence of watery rice afternoon? There are 24 hours in every day, but sometimes it can feel like there are 72. That's how many hours I have felt like I had. When I was getting ready for market day. The whole village would turn out for market day. It was the one day of the week that everyone looked forward to and dreaded at the same time. Everyone except me, because I didn't go to the markets. Cucumbers went slack and yellow. Tomatoes were on their way. When onions wilted and brown, the first ripe mangoes wouldn't be far behind. It wasn't easy to keep track of everything, but I tried. I had to. The crops failed and succeeded good. I wiped the sweat from my forehead and wondered where all the customers were. Why weren't they coming to the market today? Had the drought finally chased them away? Did they have to sell the cow? Finally, a customer. What was I waiting for? Of course I could do this. After all, I'm her child. I smiled. It may be hard, but at least it wouldn't be boring. Who knows? Maybe this day won't be such a struggle after all, I thought, but I shouldn't count on it. Chasing stray dogs and cats and even keeping an eye on a couple of kids who were trying to play chicken with a water buffalo. By noon, I was exhausted. The midday heat seemed to amplify my fatigue. I sat on the edge of my stoop and closed my eyes. Was this what my mom felt every market day? How did she do it week after week, year after year? I sighed and wiped my eyes. I walked toward the noise, and soon I saw him, a young man no older than me, beating a piece of cloth against a flat stone. He dipped the cloth in a bucket of water, then hung it on a rope between two trees. He repeated the process until several pieces of cloth were flapping in the breeze. I walked on, leaving the young man to his work. I missed my mom. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. What a day, I thought. What a struggle. But looking around, I realized I had enjoyed it. Maybe not the struggling part, but the rest. I liked being outside. I liked talking to people. I liked the bustle and the energy of the market. Most of all, I liked the feeling that came over me when I looked at all the things I had made and sold and thought, I did that. I wish she were here. She'd know what to say and do. I wished she were here to take care of everything. Maybe he changed his mind. An old woman carrying a woven basket. She set it on the counter and started unloading. Started sorting through them, separating the greens from the roots, the leafy vegetables from the squash, the beans from the peppers. One pile grew smaller and smaller until it was just 2 green papayas and 3 mangoes. The old woman must have been here right after I restocked, I thought. I put the papayas in her basket and added a 4th mango. One I had picked out because it was so ripe it was almost rotten. She gasped. "Don't worry," I said. "It's on the house." She smiled and patted my hand. "Thank you, child. You're a good one. You're just like your mother." "Really?" I felt tears prickling my eyes. I blinked them away. I hadn't cried in months, but suddenly I couldn't stop. The old woman handed me a length of cloth, a cake of soap, a bundle of bamboo, some thread, a pair of scissors, and a book. I managed to stammer out a thank you. Mangoes, eggplants, leeks, garlic, bean sprouts, green papaya, tomatoes, chilies, mint, ginger, cilantro. A bunch of cilantro. I smiled and asked how much. She named a price and I paid her, carefully placing each item back in her basket. She gave me another basket and I filled that one too. Then the next and the next. Soon I was knee-deep in vegetables and herbs, piling them up on the counter. Would this never end? Where were the customers? Was this a trick? I looked around desperate for help, but no one was around. I was on my own. I had to figure this out myself. He stopped in front of the counter, picked up a cucumber, and turned it over in his hands. He asked how much. I told him. He put the cucumber down and picked up a bunch of cilantro. I smiled. Cilantro was one of my favorite herbs. I loved its strong, fresh flavor. I loved the feeling of its cool, smooth leaves sliding through my fingers. I knew it wasn't for everyone. Many people found cilantro's soapy taste unpleasant. To each his own, I guess. But I really liked it. I told him the price of the cilantro, and he put it down. What next, I wondered. Bean sprouts, maybe? Good. He picked up a bag of bean sprouts and started munching on them right there in the store. Was that allowed? I don't know why, but I got angry. Stop eating my sprouts. You haven't paid for them yet. What do you think I'm going to do? Chase you around the market with a knife? He grinned. I suppose not. Do you want to sell me these bean sprouts? Or do you want me to go somewhere else? Fine. Here's your change. Keep the cilantro, too. He left and I exhaled. I should have kept the bean sprouts, too. Depending on our ability to sell what we had, to buy more seeds and hire people to help plant and harvest. If we did well, we could look forward to a whole month of delicious meals. If not, we might even have to sell the cow. Instead, I stayed home and took care of business. Every week I begged her to have mercy on us, trying to picture what a good market day would look like. It would be busy, but not too busy. Another customer. I smiled and nodded. He nodded back and kept walking. I watched him leave without buying anything. How frustrating. I thought we had everything he could possibly want. People would be buying what they needed, but not too much. Customers would be polite, maybe even friendly. They'd ask about my health and how I was doing, and I'd smile and tell them I was fine. They'd tell me about their family or their trip to the market or the weather, and I'd listen. Maybe they'd tell me a joke and I'd laugh. They'd buy what they came for and ask me to keep an eye on their kids while they haggled over the price of a length of cloth or a hat or a pot. Then new customers would come in and the cycle would begin again. Every week I prayed she'd grant us a good market day. Every week I wondered if this would be the day my luck finally ran out. Business was good. My mom always said so. The problem was, Mom had passed away a year ago, and now the business was mine. Or rather, it was my burden. After all, I was the only child. As a kid, I liked going to the market with my mom. It was an adventure. The bus ride was half the fun. The smells of wood smoke and ripening fruit, the dust billowing behind carts pulled by oxen, the sound of vendors calling out their wares, the bustling crowd at the marketplace, and the animals, oh the animals, bleating, clucking, neighing, a living kaleidoscope of wagging tails and twitching noses. My mom knew everyone. She'd stop and chat while I wandered off to admire something or other, usually some exotic fruit or vegetable I'd never seen before. I was always hungry at the market too, so whenever Mom stopped to talk, I'd beg her to buy me some freshly grilled skewered meat, or a sweet coconut candy bar, or spicy puffed rice paper. I still remember how those things tasted. I still remember how nice it was to sit in the shade, sipping coconut milk while listening to the music of the marketplace. But after Mom died, the markets became a place of struggles. Struggles to hear over the din of voices. Struggles to see through the haze of grief. Struggles to keep going. Every Friday, the struggles began anew. I'd wake up early and start chores, then set out what we were selling, hoping someone would buy everything. Sometimes we had too much of something and not enough of something else. But at least we had something to sell. There were weeks when I worried we'd run out of stock, especially after the drought forced the price of rice to double. We couldn't afford to waste anything anymore. I'd gotten better at managing the shop, though. I'd learned to read the signs. A drooping eggplant meant peppers were next, and every Friday morning I'd walk past the old temple on the hill and take a deep breath. The temple was dedicated to a goddess of mercy. Sometimes during the long wait between customers, I leaned back and closed my eyes. The bell above the door jingled, and I opened my eyes. A few minutes later, he came back. As the morning wore on, the sun climbed higher and higher in the sky. Just as I was about to give in to despair, the first customer arrived. One by one, I placed the baskets on the ground next to the counter, making piles. She told me to take care of myself and left. Then I saw the pile of mangoes. The rest of the morning passed in a blur. Soon, I was running around the market, stacking baskets, calling out prices, bargaining with customers. Suddenly, the sound of pounding reached my ears. It was coming from the direction of the river. It was 3 o'clock when the last customer finally left. Ah, today we're going to make something good. You feel that? This is going to be a good video. In my last video, I talked about how titles can evoke emotions and moods in viewers, setting expectations or even challenging them. Today, let's look at 2 titles which are great examples of this. The first one is Damp Afternoon. The second one is Scented with Rain. When I see this title, the first thing I get is a feeling, right? It's the feeling of a wet afternoon. What does that feel like? Now, both of these titles use the word rain, but they evoke to completely different feelings. In fact, Scented with Rain kind of challenges the feeling of damp afternoon. Why is that? Well, think about what the word scented means. Okay, it means to spread fragrance or to fill with the smell of something. It's about smells. It's a journey. I think they're so important. Bye. They're the first thing that people read when they come across your film, and they can make or break your film. Now, if you'd like me to make another video on titles, please let me know. I've got some other ideas that I want to talk about. I think it'll be really interesting to talk about those with you guys. Also, I'd like to thank everyone who's liked, commented, subscribed, who's supported the channel, who's watched my videos. Thank you for watching. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I really love doing this. Really love sharing these ideas with you. And I'm so glad that you're here. If you're not here, well, I'm glad you found this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new. I hope it gave you something to think about. I hope it made you question things. I hope it inspired you. I hope it made you feel something, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? That's what movies are about. They're about making you feel something. They're about making you think. They're about telling stories. And stories are important. Titles are important. You only get one chance at it, right? You only get one chance to make that first impression, so it has to be good. It's a story. It's about emotions. It's about memories, about places, about landscapes. It's about a certain kind of beauty. If that sounds good to you, then this title will appeal to you. Now, when you think about rain, what do you smell? Do you smell petrichor? Do you smell the earth? Do you smell the wet grass? Do you smell wet concrete? What about the smell of rain on hot sand? We associate all these smells with rain. So Scented with Rain is literally about the smell of rain. Well, it's like the air is soft, and it's wet, but not cold. It's still warm outside. Why is it scented with rain? What does it mean for something to be scented with rain? What is the significance of the smell of rain? That's the thing about this title. It's more open-ended. It's more abstract. It asks you to think. It's about a certain kind of day, a certain kind of weather. It's about a moment in time. And if you've ever experienced a damp afternoon, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know that feeling. It's the feeling of a moment that slipped through your fingers. It's the feeling of something lost. It's the feeling of being alive. And if that sounds good to you, then this title will appeal to you. And thinking leads to emotions. So Scented with Rain is about earth, memory, peace, nostalgia, home. It's poetic, isn't it? It's beautiful. It moves you. It takes you to another place. I know a lot of you love this title. I love this title too. It's one of my favorite titles. There's a thin layer of humidity that makes everything feel a little bit heavier. And there's this silence. They both use the word rain, but they both use it very differently. So which one is better? Well, you tell me. Think about it. Both titles are good, but they're targeted at different audiences. Now, which one appeals to you more? Which one would you choose if you were picking a title for your film? Is it Damp Afternoon, or is it Scented with Rain? Let me know in the comments below. Curious to know what you think. Not an uncomfortable silence, but just there's a kind of weight behind the silence because of the rain, because of the dampness. It feels like it's pressing down on you. And time seems to move slower. Everything feels slower on a day like this. Now imagine sitting in a place where you can see the rain falling. Imagine sitting in front of a window and watching the raindrops trickle down. Or maybe you're inside, but you can hear the rain. Maybe you're inside and you smell the petrichor. All of a sudden you feel sleepy. You just want to lie down and take a nap. That's the feeling of damp afternoon, right? A soft, sleepy feeling. Wet air, slow time, heavy silence. Now these two titles sound pretty similar when you say them out loud, right? They both have rain in them, and they both sound like they could be the titles of art films. But they are very different. And let's understand why they are so different, and why they're both such good titles. Okay, what does damp afternoon mean to you now? Does it mean the same thing? Well, actually no, right? Because damp means slightly wet, humid, and it often refers to things like walls or towels or cloths. An afternoon can be damp too, right? If it's cloudy and gray and there's no sunshine, then an afternoon can be damp. So the title doesn't work without rain. In fact, the title wouldn't even make sense without the word rain. So the word rain is crucial here. It helps us arrive at the feeling, the emotion. It sets the tone. Do you see how all this works? Like, this is why I love titles. This is why I think titles are so important. With just a few words, you can transport the viewer into your film. You can give them an experience. So do you see why Damp Afternoon is such a good title? Short, simple, poetic, yet evocative. It has this slow, sleepy kind of feeling to it. You don't need to tell the audience anything. Just from the title they know. They can feel it. It's almost like a sensory experience. So the first one, Damp Afternoon. Think about the title now without the word rain. Okay, now let's look at the second title, Scented with Rain. Now if Damp Afternoon is a feeling, a sensory experience, then Scented with Rain takes us deeper. It evokes more questions. Now both of these titles are great, right? They're both poetic and they both sound beautiful. Now Damp Afternoon is a feeling, a mood, an atmosphere. Now, Scented with Rain is a little more complicated. It's more than just a title, it's an experience. Okay, now I've been talking about titles for 2 videos now, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I really enjoy talking about titles. Okay, so thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next video. I would say that this is a sad song, but that's not really accurate. It's more like a song of quiet desperation. It was written after my dad died. He was my best friend. When he died suddenly, I felt so lost. You need to replace him. And he says, Yeah, we're gonna have to lowball you pretty good on this one. It just seemed like exactly what I needed to add to the song, because it made it less about farming and more about missing a companion. So here's the song. And I said, that's okay. And I just looked at him and I said, 'cause it's a girl's car. The crops are dead in winter, like the song isn't completely depressing. There's a little bit of major in there just to show that there's still some happiness. Overall, I would describe the song as sad and reflective. It's about loss and grief, but it's also about hope and moving on. In the end, I find a way to forgive myself and move forward with my life. He should have gone to college, could have had a better job than farming go. I'm laying everything out on the line, and I'm not afraid to show my emotions. It's simple and to the point, and it perfectly captures the essence of the song. The empty plow is a symbol of my dad's absence. When he died, it felt like the world was empty without him. It felt like everything I was going to do, everything we were going to do together, was empty. The song is basically about coming to terms with that emptiness. I think that's what music is all about, expressing yourself and connecting with others on a deeper level. Another thing I love about this song is the imagery. I use a lot of nature imagery like the plow, the oxen, the fields, to evoke a sense of place and time. This song is set in the countryside, which is where I grew up, and I wanted to capture that feel, that nostalgia for a simpler time. He should have married that cute girl he dated in high school, if only he had known. If only he had. I think it's one of the best songs I've ever written, and I hope you enjoy it. Sean, but now the plow just sits so still and I cut and shake these demons on the hilthy. Tell me I should be further along me, crops are growing. Weeds are taloned. I can't help but feel this overwhelming call for one more summer. Just one more yurto breathe in the air. To calm my fear, to laugh and smile and cry and scream. Just one more chance to be a kid again, run through the fields with hair. Of Goldber the plow was broken, and the story told no, the wind blows cold, and the rain falls grayest. I walk alone this lonesome way, with empty hands and a heart so sorry. Search for you on the distant shore of memory, S Lake, where dreams take flight and shadows dance in the fading light. See your face. I hear your voice in for a moment. I find my choice, you'd overrise above the pain, and the lonely questioned find my peace within your gentle rest. Grips this weary land no more, will you come walking through the pasture gate with your old brown dog no? More will I see Yuto share the stories that you brought? So I played it safe, and I went with a basic chord progression, just G, C, and D. And I wanted the tempo to be very slow. Like I said, I wanted it to have that nostalgic feel like a really old folk song, so I chose a very slow tempo. And then as far as the dynamics, I didn't really change much. It's just a soft, quiet, sad song. As far as the arrangement, I just kept it simple. Just guitar and vocals and a little bit of piano in the background, just to fill it out. And he said, "Ah, man, sorry to hear about your dad. I know how it is. I lost mine 2 years ago, and we started talking about him. Eventually he said, we don't usually give extra money for sentimental value. But I want to give you an extra $500 just because I know how much it sucks to lose your dad." And I started crying. He goes, "Don't worry, man. It's going to be okay." And I just thought, how does he know that? How does anyone know that? Everyone assumes that you're going to be okay, but nobody asks you if you're actually okay. Anyway, that's where this song came from. That's why it's called Empty Plow. It just felt like everything that I was going to do, everything that we were going to do together, was just kind of empty without him. I was driving an old Honda CR-V that my dad bought for my mom, but he always teased her mercilessly about driving such a girly car. He told her if she ever got another one, he would leave her. She never did. So when he died, she sold the car. I inherited it. I hated that car. It reminded me of my dad. So I let it sit in the driveway for months, until finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to get rid of it. The day before he died, we were talking about making videos together, and the next day he was in the ground. I just felt like my entire future, which we had been planning out, all of it just evaporated. I could feel myself slipping into depression, and instead of ignoring it and pushing through, I decided to make a video about it. It's strange how after someone dies, everyone seems to have an opinion about how they should have lived their life. People can be incredibly presumptuous and judgmental when it comes to death because they think there's nothing left to lose. And for some reason, they think that gives them the right to tell you what you should do with your life. You should have done this instead. Shouldn't have done that. If only you had known. Blah, blah, blah. People love to be armchair experts on something they know nothing about, so I was no exception. One day, my cousin told me, "You need to get out of the house. Stop moping around. Just go buy yourself a new pickup truck." So I went to sell it at CarMax. When I pulled up in that car, the guy looks at me. He looks at the car. And then when my friend suggested adding the ox, it just seemed like it was perfect. The empty plow sits in the shed where, once the oxen used to stand, field is bare. I hear them whispering in the Teresa when I wrote this song. I knew that I wanted it to sound slow, nostalgic, and melancholic. Overall, the song is in a minor key, but there's a couple major chords sprinkled in just to give it a little bit of hope. One of the things I love about this song is that it's so personal and vulnerable. Another thing I love about this song is the title. I think it's a great title. This is definitely one of my favorite songs. It's time for our 30th title in 30 days, and we're almost done. If you've been following along, I know you're super pumped for this one. Is our last one, starting off with our writing prompt. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the land. Okay, that's definitely not bad. That's a really great start. You could definitely build a story around that. So make sure to let me know how much you love it. Evening is the time of day that comes after afternoon and before night. It is the period between sunset and darkness. Instead of writing about a physical sunsetting, we can write about a metaphorical sunsetting as well. We have nightfall, dusk, sundown, twilight, dark, even vespers. All these words evoke different shades of meaning, inviting them to dive into your story to discover the full picture. We've got evening. We've got the power of the sun sinking in the sky. Let's take a look. Now let's move on to the most important part, naming that story. Again, we want something that complements the mood of our story, something that resonates with the themes we've explored. Evening. I love it. The alliteration of evening shadows rolls off the tongue nicely, and dance adds a layer of intrigue. What are these shadows dancing about? What secrets do they reveal in their dance? Try substituting these words into our potential titles and see how the meaning shifts. Which title resonates with you the most? Which one captures the essence of your story? Create a sense of anticipation for what's to come. The old woman sat on the porch swing, its rusty chains groaning in protest. Just let your instincts guide you. Listen to the rhythm, the flow, the way they sound. A great title should not only make sense, but it should also sound good. Who knows? One of these phrases might just evolve into the perfect title, and it leaves the interpretation open to the reader. It's our secret weapon in finding the perfect title. And I have to say, I am absolutely thrilled with the direction this story has taken. The characters, the plot, the emotions, it's all coming together so beautifully. And the title will be the icing on the cake. We've already used it to explore synonyms for evening. Now let's see what it has to offer for shadows. Till next time, happy writing, and may your stories always find their titles. We have silhouettes, shades, images, even penumbras. Each of these words adds a unique shade of meaning to our story. Or maybe we want to emphasize the melancholy aspect of the story. In that case, fading evening could work wonders. It evokes a sense of loss and nostalgia. Her gaze was fixed on the horizon where the sun was slowly sinking below the jagged teeth of the distant mountains. How about combining words from different parts of our story? What if we use sun and memories? Sun and memories. It's poetic. It's evocative. Or maybe we want to emphasize the setting. In that case, porch and twilight has a nice ring to it. As the last sliver of daylight slipped away, she felt a deep sense of melancholy wash over her. It was a familiar feeling, one she had come to know intimately over the years. The perfect title is the one that speaks to you. The one that you feel best represents your work. This was the time of day when memories flickered like fireflies in the gathering dusk, each one bringing with it a bittersweet ache. We've already seen how evening shadows dance together beautifully. But what about sunset sorrows or twilight tears? These titles pack an emotional punch. She thought of laughter echoing through the halls of her now empty house, the smell of baking bread, and the sound of her husband's voice. A tear escaped her eye, tracing a path down her wrinkled cheek, leaving behind a trail of salt and regret. Yet as the stars began to prick the darkening sky, a strange sense of peace settled upon her. For in the quiet of the evening, surrounded by the ghosts of her past, She found a solace that transcended the pain of her fading memories. And we've got a world that's holding its breath. What kind of story can we tell with these elements? What kind of emotions can we evoke in our audience? They paint different pictures in our minds. Now, which one will you choose for your story? Or maybe you'll use one of them to create a title alongside evening. How does each word shift the tone of the piece? How does it affect the mood? Does it feel more mysterious, more melancholic? These are the questions you want to ask yourself, because the perfect title should resonate with the feeling of your story. For example, the end of a career, the end of a relationship, the end of a life. Think about how the sun rising and setting is tied to emotions. When the sun rises, there's hope for a new day, a fresh start. When the sun sets, it's a time for reflection, for the day to be over. What kind of stories are told at sunset? What kind of secrets do people share in the quiet of the evening? What kind of plans are made under the fading light of dusk? What kind of promises are whispered as darkness falls? An evening is also a social event or a party held in the evening. Now, all these definitions will help us figure out what kind of story we want to tell today. We have a clear starting point of when the sun sets, but the rest is open to interpretation. Today's title is Evening. So let's jump into the writing process. Now let's take a look at the literal definitions of evening. What if we change up our story a bit? Here we go. As the sun sank lower in the sky, the world seemed to hold its breath. Oh, I love that. There's something really powerful about a world that holds its breath. It creates suspense, doesn't it? I'm loving the direction this story is going. Now I need some help from you guys. Take a moment to comment down below with any ideas you might have. Remember, the best ideas often come from simple prompts. Don't hold back. Let your imagination run wild. Comment your idea for the ending of this story down below. While you're doing that, let's move on to our second writing prompt. Now let's explore some synonyms for evening. And don't forget, the best titles are often those that leave a little room for interpretation. They spark curiosity in the reader's mind. Let's bring everything together. Okay, here's a first draft for you. That's our story for today. How about this for a title? When the evening shadows dance.
Right.
It's a little dramatic, isn't it? But then again, we could go with something simpler like evening. It's classic. It's elegant. Oh, and don't forget about our trusty thesaurus. Here's an exercise for you. Hey, remember, there's no right or wrong answer here. Now let's add another layer to our title exploration. Oh, and don't forget the power of alliteration and assonance. Remember, the best titles are often those that invite the reader in. Hey, why don't you take a moment to jot down your top 3 favorite titles? Don't overthink it. And here's a bonus tip for you. Say the titles out loud. Now we've come to the end of our title exploration for today. As you continue to work on your story, keep these title explorations in mind. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the world of title writing. What's one thing that ties us all together across the globe? It's not our politics, religion, or culture. It's something much more fundamental. We are all human beings going through life, searching for meaning, love, peace, happiness, connection. Slow, soft, and peaceful. It feels like a blanket over you when you listen to it. It brings you into a place of stillness and quiet. It's the perfect song for falling asleep to, or just lying in bed contemplating about life. This is an original song written and performed by an artist named Julianne. The narrator reflects on a relationship that ended and wonders what might have been if things had turned out differently. There's a sense of loss and regret, and when I heard Beneath the Light, I knew I had to reach out to Julianne and tell her how much I love her work. I reached out to her through social media and was thrilled when she agreed to do an interview with me for my channel. I was curious to learn more about her and the creative process behind her music. Her songs are incredibly moving, and her voice is absolutely stunning. She's a true artist who pours her heart and soul into every song she writes and every performance she gives. Her passion for music is evident in the way she talks about it and the energy she brings to every project. If you did, please don't forget to leave a review and subscribe for more amazing content. And if you want to continue to learn and grow, I'd love to invite you to join me in one of my courses. ULL get access to exclusive content and a community of like-minded individuals who are also on their own personal growth journeys. I'm confident that you will find it to be a valuable resource on your path to self-discovery and transformation. Click the link below to learn more. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Throughout our conversation, it was clear that Julianne is not only a talented musician, but also a thoughtful and insightful individual. She had a lot of wisdom to share about the music industry and the creative process, and I was honored to be able to learn from her. I knew I had to have her on my podcast. She is a true example of how hard work, dedication, and a genuine passion for music can lead to success. I encourage anyone who loves music and wants to pursue their dreams to follow Julianne's lead and never give up on their goals. If you're a fan of soulful, heartfelt music, then you'll definitely appreciate Julianne's music. Be sure to check out Beneath the Light and the rest of her discography. You won't be disappointed. During our conversation, Julianne opened up about the inspiration behind her music, the creative process, and what it means to her to connect with her fans through her art. We talked about how Beneath the Light came together and the thought process behind writing such a personal song. Julianne shared her approach to songwriting, which involves a lot of introspection and a deep dive into her own emotions and experiences. We also discussed the importance of vulnerability in music and how being honest and open with her fans has helped her build a strong connection with them. And what I discovered was a talented and passionate musician who pours her heart and soul into every song she writes. In our interview, Julianne talks about the inspiration behind her music, her creative process, and what it means to her to connect with her fans through her art. It's a fascinating conversation, and I am so excited to share it with you. But also an acceptance that things happen for a reason, and we can dwell on what might have been. Beneath the Light is a song about looking back on your life. Julianne has also been gaining a lot of attention from critics, with publications like American Songwriter praising her as an artist to watch. With her unique blend of pop, rock, and soul, coupled with her powerful vocals and relatable lyrics, Julianne is sure to continue making waves in the music industry. The people you've loved and lost, the choices you've made, and wondering where the time went. It's a very personal song for Julianne, and it reflects on the passage of time and the inevitability of change. As she sings, the years fly by like birds in the sky, and before you know it, you're old and gray. Beneath the Light is a song that encourages us to savor each moment and to make the most of the time we have with the people we love. It's a beautiful and haunting ballad that showcases Julianne's incredible vocals and songwriting skills. If you're a fan of artists like Adele, Taylor Swift, or Sia, then you'll definitely appreciate Julianne's music. It's a reminder to appreciate the people in our lives while we have them, and to hold on to the memories we've made together. Overall, I think Beneath the Light is a beautifully written and performed song that captures the complexities of human emotion with honesty and vulnerability. It's a song that I can listen to over and over again and always find something new to appreciate. I discovered her music a while ago, and ever since then, I've been hooked. Her music has this intimate quality to it. It's like she's singing directly to you, and her lyrics are so honest and raw, they really resonate with me on a deep level. In Beneath the Light, the lyrics tell the story of a woman who is reflecting on her life and relationships as she grows older. She thinks back to a time when she was younger and more carefree, and wonders where the years have gone. Despite the bittersweet nature of these lyrics, there is still a sense of hope and optimism. The song suggests that even as we get older, we can still find joy and meaning in life, if we are willing to look for it. What I love about this song is the way it captures the feeling of nostalgia and longing for simpler times. I think we can all relate to that. There are moments in life that we look back on with fondness, times of innocence and joy that seem so distant now. And we wonder where the time went, and how we can recapture that feeling. Beneath the Light doesn't have an answer for that, but it does a great job of capturing the feeling. And that in itself is comforting to me. It's a reminder that it's okay to feel nostalgic. It's okay to miss the past. And that those feelings are a natural part of the human experience, universe, and everything. It's been covered by countless artists from Bing Crosby to Elvis Presley. But my favorite version is by a Canadian indie folk band called The Acorn. Their rendition is stripped down and sparse, just a lone piano and a woman's voice singing softly. And it perfectly captures the serenity and tranquility of this song. This song is so special because it reminds us that in the midst of all the chaos and craziness of life, there is still peace to be found. There is still beauty to be appreciated.
Right.
And sometimes all we need is to slow down, breathe deeply, and connect with the present moment. And that's what this song does for me. It brings me back to the present moment. It helps me to focus on my breath. It allows me to let go of all my worries and cares. And in that space of stillness, I am able to connect with myself and with the world around me in a deeper way. That's why music has such a powerful effect on us. Music can express the inexpressible, communicate what we're too afraid or unable to articulate, and when you find music that really resonates with you, it can be life-changing. I know that because I've experienced it myself. And today, I'm going to share with you 2 songs which mean a lot to me. The first song is Silent Night. It's universal. Now I know what you're thinking. Okay, well that's all well and good, but how can I use this in my own life? How can I incorporate this into my daily routine? Well, here are a few ideas. First, you could use this song as a meditation aid. So whenever you sit down to meditate, you could put on this song and let the music help you to focus on your breath and to let go of all distractions. Or second, you could use this song before you go to sleep each night. Instead of scrolling through social media or watching TV, you could put on this song and just lie in bed and listen to the music. It will help you relax and prepare your body for a restful sleep. And third, you could simply keep this song on hand for those times when you need to calm down. Life can get stressful and overwhelming at times. When that happens, you can put on this song and let the music wash over you. It will help you to feel more centered and grounded. The second song is Beneath the Light. This song also speaks to the power of human connection and the importance of cherishing the people in our lives. As a musician myself, I am constantly on the lookout for new music to listen to. So now I'm gone, turn it over to Julianne and let her take you along on her creative journey. Beneath the Light has been streamed over 2 million times on Spotify and has been featured on popular playlists like Fresh Finds, Pop Sauce, and The Daily Indie. I met Julianne online and was immediately drawn to her music. One of the things I admire most about Julianne is her dedication to her craft. Overall, my conversation with Julianne was inspiring and uplifting. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed this episode of my podcast. The word barren field popped into my mind, and I thought that would make a really cool name for an album of ambient music. Then once I started painting to it, it just kind of became this sad, empty place in the middle of nowhere. There's no people around. They've all left. Maybe they were eaten by sandworms. And it had this story about a coyote who was walking along a riverbank, and he heard this voice coming from the water. It was one of those summer days where the heat just kind of sits in the air, and as the sun sets, it's still burning hot. I remember sitting in the car with my dad and my brother, and we were driving home from a trip, and we turned on the air conditioning and started watching the movie. It just felt right. Not like dangerously fast, but like a little faster than I normally do. It's a song about dreams and highways, and the feeling of being stuck in a loop. What does it mean to be stuck in a loop? Is it possible to be truly free? And if so, what does that look like? Thanks for listening. See you next week. And I found myself singing along to the chorus, even though I've never heard the song before. I thought it was kind of funny because it asked, like the song had gotten inside my head and now I had to drive like it. It was like I was living in this alternate universe where this song was the soundtrack to my life. It was the perfect summer night, and that movie just kind of washed over me. I remember thinking how beautiful the world is, and how it just kind of feels like you refloating along. And I remember thinking that for a moment, everything was just perfect. So he stopped to listen, and it was the river telling him stories. And the coyote sat there for hours listening to these tales. We have our everyday life, and then we have the life that we live when we're rewatching movies or listening to music or reading books. When I listen to Barren Field, I feel like I'm walking along a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. The engine starts up and I get in the car. The windows are rolled down and I feel the wind blowing through my hair. And it doesn't matter where I'm going, it just matters that I'm moving. And as the song builds, I start to feel this sense of urgency. Like I have to get somewhere, but I don't know where. And then the song ends and I'm still in the car. But now I'm in a different place. It's like I've been on this long journey, but I haven't really gone anywhere. And I thought that was such a cool idea, that the world itself is full of stories. All we have to do is listen. I thought it would be fun to play with the idea of a long road trip and the feeling of being stuck in a loop. There's this one part where the guitar starts playing these arpeggios and it's just so beautiful. It's like the sun setting over the horizon. There is also This one chord progression that repeats throughout the song, and it just gets stuck in your head. It's like an earworm. You can't get rid of it. And I love it. It's kind of like a dream where you keep driving and driving, but you're always on the same road and nothing ever changes. It can be unsettling, but it can also be kind of freeing. Like when you're in a dream and you realize you can fly, anything can happen. You're not bound by the rules of reality. You're free to explore wherever your mind takes you. That's what I tried to do with this painting. I wanted to capture the feeling of listening to the world around us and letting the stories wash over us. Because sometimes that's all we can do when we in a barren field in the middle of nowhere. Just listen to the wind and the clouds and the trees and let the stories wash over us. I don't know, but it's like a ghost town. There is this creepy abandoned amusement park over there, and then these two silos just kind of watching over the whole thing. And then there's like a highway running through the middle of it, but it goes off into the distance. It looks like the road just ends at some point. It's not going anywhere. It's kind of like a metaphor for life. And sometimes we get stuck in these patterns where we keep moving forward, but we're not really going anywhere. We're just going through the motions day after day. And it can feel like a real downer, like we're just going through the motions. I was trying to think of a title for this piece, because it feels like there is something more to it than just barren field. I feel like we need a title for this one. I feel like it could be called Tales. Like maybe it's not just the barren field that's telling a story, but the things around it, the wind blowing across the field, the shadows from the clouds moving across the ground. Even the dust devils have a story to tell. Stories are everywhere if you know where to look. If you listen closely to the wind, it will whisper stories of the past. If you look up at the clouds, they will tell you tales of journeys across the sky. The trees have stories to tell too, if you only knew their language. Their roots run deep in the earth, and they've seen so much come and go. They know things we'll never learn. I was reading this old book about Native American folklore. I remember the first time I saw the movie Days of Heaven. It's funny how movies and music and books can take us to another place. It's almost like we're living multiple lives. When I was asked to create a sleep story for this track, one of the things I love most about this song is the guitar work. The other day I was driving and this song came on the radio, and I had this sudden urge to drive faster. So yeah, this is the story behind the artwork for Barren Field. The sun is setting behind the tall buildings. Their shadows stretch out long and thin like grasping fingers. It's going to be another cold night. You pull your coat tighter around you, burying your hands deep into the pockets. Where did you come from? Can't remember? What are you doing here? You don't know. As the darkness deepens, so does the chill in the air. The street lamps flicker on, casting a dim glow on the empty sidewalk. Then suddenly, the darkness surges forward, engulfing you, swallowing you whole. And in that final moment, before everything goes black, you feel a fleeting sense of peace, a release from the burden of memories. And then there is nothing. Fallen leaves crunch under your feet, each step a reminder of time passing, of seasons changing, of lives lived and lost. The air is heavy with the scent of decay and the promise of winter. You keep walking, your footsteps echoing in the growing silence. Creaking gently in the wind, they whisper their stories on the wind. Each one, a wave crashing against the shores of your heart, threatening to pull you under. But you resist, clinging to the fragments of your sanity, trying to make sense of the chaos within. Tales of love and loss, of joy and sorrow, of life and death. You take a deep breath, trying to steady yourself, and begin to walk. The path ahead is uncertain, the darkness thick and suffocating, a nightly ritual your body knows by heart. Glimpses of memories that dance at the edge of your vision, but you don't dwell on them. Instead, you let them drift through your fingers like grains of sand, acknowledging their presence without judgment or attachment. You allow yourself to surrender to the embrace of sleep, seeking solace in its comforting depths. A sanctuary where the boundaries between wakefulness and unconsciousness blur. You navigate the winding paths of your subconscious, allowing your mind to wander freely. Within this internal landscape, you encounter scenes from days gone by, faces from years past, and emotions long forgotten. But you must keep moving. You welcome them. You embrace the bittersweet nostalgia that washes over you, recognizing that these moments, though painful, are an integral part of your journey. The remnants of your dreams linger like whispers on the wind, fading into the stillness of the morning. You rise from your sleep, carrying with you the tranquility of the night. In the tapestry of your existence, these threads of the past are woven intricately, forming patterns that contribute to the richness of your being. You have no choice. Their voices mingle with the rustling of the trees and the mournful cry of distant birds, creating a haunting symphony of remembrance. You shed the weight of your worries and allow yourself to be carried away on the currents of your imagination. The shadows lose their menacing grasp, taking you on a journey through the vast expanse of your inner world. You may soar through the skies, feeling the wind beneath your wings, or dive into the depths of the ocean, exploring the coral reefs and schools of fish. The courtyard, with its haunting beauty and sorrowful past, slowly recedes into the distance. With each step you take, you leave behind the ghosts of your past and move towards the uncertain light of the future. A haunting melody that speaks of laughter and joy that once echoed here. Now there is only silence. Silence so profound it seems to devour the very essence of your being. A place where you are forced to confront the truths you have been avoiding. You realize that you are truly alone in this vast emptiness. The ghosts of your past may haunt these grounds, but they cannot help you. A constant reminder of the darkness you have faced and the strength you found within yourself to overcome it. And in the quiet moments when the world is still, you can almost hear the whispers of the past echoing in your ears, urging you to remember, to learn from the shadows, and to keep moving forward into the light. You are the only one who can save yourself. Here, amidst the ruins of your past, you begin to piece together the fragments of your identity. You search for answers in the whispers of the wind, hoping to find solace in the company of the dead. Vast, silent space where the darkness has been waiting, patient and still. In this emptiness, there are no more tears, no more pain, no more fear, only the chilling silence of an empty courtyard where the echoes of the past still linger. The wind picks up, rustling through the dry leaves that blanket the ground, sending shivers down your spine. Where once there was warmth, now there is only a faint echo of what used to be. The courtyard is a tomb of sorts. You are a solitary figure in a sea of memories, adrift in a labyrinth of time. The courtyard is a silent witness to your sorrow, a place where the boundaries between the living and the dead become blurred, a place where the ghosts of the past come to rest. You quicken your pace, pulling your collar higher. The old brick wall looms ahead, its rough surface and sharp edges seeming to mock your vulnerability. The cold seeping through your clothes, numbing your skin. Memories flicker like dying embers, casting dancing shadows on the crumbling walls. Faces you once knew and loved appear and disappear, their voices whispering on the wind, taunting you with their absence. The wrought iron gate at the end of the path stands like a jagged mouth ready to swallow you whole. What awaits you beyond that gate? You don't know? You don't want to know. But something compels you forward, something that you can't understand. And so you walk on, its edges sharpening, its depths growing deeper, always deeper, gasp for breath, your lungs burning as if filled with lead. Your legs, heavy as if made of stone, struggle to carry you, to keep you above the encroaching shadows. This piece is called Last Light. Have you ever felt like you were living someone else's life, caught in a current you didn't choose? Like the sun sinking below the horizon every evening, your days slip away without you. You yearn for a guiding star, a light in the enveloping darkness, but all you find is the fading memory of a smile, the echo of a name. All you have left is the lingering scent of home. You turn to go back, but the way is lost to shadows. Fear tightens its icy grip around your heart. In the distance, you hear a mournful sigh, like the wind whispering through a graveyard. The sound draws closer, and with a sudden rush, it's upon you, cold and heavy, stealing the little warmth that was left. You run, stumbling over unseen obstacles, the rough ground tearing at your clothes, scraping your skin. The pursuing darkness seems to mock you. Behind you, the mournful sigh echoes again, and you can feel the presence of whatever is following you, closing in, inching closer. There are no more questions, no more searching. There is only the emptiness that surrounds you here in the courtyard. The trees stand bare and stark against the gray sky, their branches clawing at the heavens like desperate prayers. A lone swing hangs from a nearby tree. You sit on a nearby bench. The courtyard stretches before you, a vast expanse of emptiness. It mirrors the hollowness that has taken root within your soul. It's here in the quiet solitude of this place that you confront the reality of your existence. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows across the courtyard, you feel the presence of countless spirits around you. Lost in the labyrinth of your thoughts, you let the memories wash over you. The courtyard is a place of reflection, but as the night deepens, the shadows grow longer and the temperature drops, and so you rise from the bench, your body stiff and aching from hours spent in one position. As you walk, the memories begin to fade, the voices grow quieter, but the scars of the courtyard remain etched deep within your soul. The last rays of sunlight disappear below the horizon, leaving you enveloped in the comforting darkness. The familiar weight of eyelids falling rests upon you. In dreams, you may find fragments of the past. Sleep becomes your refuge, but rather than resisting these nocturnal visitors, as the night progresses, your dreams shift and change. With each passing moment, you become lighter, freer, unbound by the constraints of your waking life. In this realm of slumber, and as the first rays of dawn begin to peek through the curtains, you awaken feeling refreshed and renewed. The wind shifts. The smell of pine needles and damp earth fills my nostrils. This scent is called scent of old earth. In French, it's called senteur de la terre ancienne. It gives me strength to face my own challenges and never give up. Scent of old earth makes me feel grounded and connected to the earth. It's a grounding and protective smell that can help us stay calm and focused in a hectic world. And it brings back childhood memories of visiting my grandparents' house in the country. When I smell this scent, I am reminded of the importance of rest. The birds singing, the trees swaying in the breeze, the flowers blooming. There is so much beauty to appreciate in this world. And when I smell this scent, I am able to appreciate it more fully. We live in a culture that values busyness and productivity. It is a scent that can be worn to work or to a special event. You want a fragrance that will make you feel confident and serene? Then this is the one for you. We are constantly rushing around, trying to get things done. But it's important to take time to rest and recharge, to take care of ourselves. I would play outside all day, run around in the fields, and jump into hay bales. Heart notes are freesia, rose and lily of the valley. Base notes are sandalwood, musk, and amber. This is a very feminine and sophisticated fragrance. It is perfect for a woman who is confident and elegant. I would pick wild blackberries and eat them straight away. It is also a very versatile fragrance and can be dressed up or down depending on the occasion. Green tea adds a fresh, clean element that helps to balance out the sweetness. If you enjoy fragrances like Light Blue by Dolce & Gabbana or Acqua di Gio by Giorgio Armani, then you will love this one. If you are looking for a fragrance that will make you stand out from the crowd, then this is the one for you. Musk adds a touch of sensuality, and amber adds a warm, glowing base note. Overall, this is a very well-balanced fragrance. The citrus notes are not too overpowering, and the floral notes are not too cloying. The woody and musky base notes provide a nice contrast and help to ground the fragrance. Together, they create a fragrance that is both grounding and uplifting. This fragrance is a reminder to slow down and to appreciate the beauty of the present moment. It is a scent that can help us to find peace and tranquility in the midst of chaos. It is a scent that can help us to feel connected to the earth and to the natural world around us. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to receive notifications of new videos, and don't forget to visit our website to buy your favorite fragrances at the best prices. Have a wonderful day and see you soon. Freesia and rose add a touch of florality to the fragrance. Lily of the Valley adds a sweet, powdery note that helps to soften the overall scent. When I smell this fragrance, I am transported to another place, a place of calm and tranquility where there is no stress or anxiety, just peace. It is a scent that can bring back childhood memories. Of playing outside and exploring the world with a sense of curiosity and wonder. It smells like the deep roots of a hard life. If you are looking for a fragrance that will help you relax and unwind, then this is the one for you. These notes come together to create a fresh, clean, and slightly sweet scent that is perfect for daytime wear. It is a scent that you will not forget. This fragrance is part of the Maison's Les Elixirs collection. It is a scent that can be enjoyed by anyone who loves the smell of fresh linen and cozy nights in. It is a scent that can be worn by both men and women. It is a fragrance that is perfect for any occasion. My grandparents were poor, but they had something more important: family, love, and respect for nature. Their lives were tough. They worked long and hard to make ends meet. But they always found time to make me feel welcome. The juice is a pale green color and has a thick consistency. The fragrance is very strong and long-lasting. The scent of old earth is a reminder of this connection. It's a scent that can bring us back to the present moment and help us appreciate the beauty of the earth around us. I would walk barefoot through tall grass and lay down on the warm soil to admire the clouds. These are some of my happiest memories, and they all come flooding back when I smell this fragrance. It's just raw, honest earth. That's why it smells so comforting and familiar to me. I think we all have a deep connection to the earth. We are all made of the same stuff, after all. It reminds me of the stillness that I felt as a child, when I was exploring the world around me. When I think about their strength and resilience, I am inspired and grateful. It's the perfect name for this scent, because it evokes a feeling of calmness and tranquility. When I smell this fragrance, I immediately feel relaxed and at ease. It's like a warm blanket on a cold day, or a soft lullaby. I love this fragrance because it's so natural and authentic. It doesn't try to be anything more than what it is. When we spend time in nature, we are reminded of this connection, feel a sense of belonging and peace. Now, let's talk about the name of this fragrance: sleep. This fragrance is like a peaceful pause in the middle of a busy day. It's a moment to breathe, to relax, and to recharge. When I smell this scent, I am reminded to slow down and enjoy the simple things in life. The name sleep also has a poetic quality to it. It conjures up images of a peaceful night's sleep under a blanket of stars. This fragrance is perfect for those who love natural, clean, and calming scents. If you want a fragrance that will make you feel grounded and centered, then this is the one for you. When you wear this fragrance, you will feel like you can conquer the world. So if you are looking for a new fragrance to add to your collection, I highly recommend this one. The bottle is made of heavy frosted glass and has a silver cap. The overall effect is very elegant and refined. Top notes are bergamot, grapefruit, and green tea. Bergamot and grapefruit add a touch of sweetness and citrus to the fragrance. Sandalwood adds a warm, woody element to the fragrance. This fragrance is best suited for daytime wear. It is a very fresh, clean scent that is perfect for a casual daytime look. This fragrance is perfect for someone who loves fresh, clean, and slightly sweet scents. The main notes of this fragrance are freesia, rose, and sandalwood. This fragrance is unique and memorable. It is not a common scent that you will find in many other fragrances. This fragrance is also very high quality and well made. It is a fragrance that is meant to last you a lifetime. Overall, I highly recommend this fragrance to anyone who loves fresh, clean, and slightly sweet scents. It is a fragrance that you will not forget. When I smell this scent, I am reminded of the beauty and wonder of the natural world around us. The scent of old earth and the name sleep are the perfect combination. In a world that often feels chaotic and uncertain, thank you for watching this video. When I heard the prompt for this week's theme, Empty Pot, Cry, my first thought was, oh, that's easy. I have a million ideas. But as the week went on, and I kept coming back to this phrase, I realized it was harder than I thought. I wanted to go for something very graphic. Perhaps even something like a Dutch painting with all of its symbolism, but it just wasn't clicking today. So I set it aside and came back to it later. There were too many directions, too many characters, too much dialogue. Her gnarled fingers wrapped around a chipped coffee cup. I thought back to my first attempt at the still life, and pulled up a reference photo of the soup and bread. The scene might make you sad or uncomfortable, but it was missing that spark of humanity. Yes, she's hungry, but where are her tears? I even brought it into the foreground, letting the light shine through the window onto her hands, giving them a glow. Instead of trying to draw the actual tears, I would draw the emotion in her eyes. The image was finished. As I stepped back, I could feel the weight of it. I could feel her sadness, her quiet desperation. In that moment, I knew I had captured the essence of the prompt, the empty pot, her cry. I picked up my pencil and started shading in her irises, but in a strange way, it feels good to feel something, anything, deeply. I think that's the power of art. It can evoke emotions, memories, even physical sensations. And sometimes, just sometimes, It can give voice to those who can't find their words. I made them pools of sadness, swirling with pain and longing. Then I added a bit of glisten to her eye, a reflection of the light from the window. It was subtle, but it was there. I erased and redrew her lips several times, softening them, making them quiver slightly. Finally, I added a stray tear, just one, catching on her lower lash. The more I worked, the more I liked it. It felt like I was capturing the essence of the prompt. The quiet desperation of the empty pot, the tears that could have been, the unspoken cry of a woman who feels unseen. Given voice to the woman who sits alone in her room watching the world go by, her only company, the memory of touch and the ache of an empty pot. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope you enjoyed my interpretation of Empty Pot Cry. Please share your thoughts, your interpretations, and your experiences with art prompts. Don't forget to leave your feedback and suggestions for future videos. Until next time, happy creating. Where is her soul? An old woman sitting alone in a dingy apartment, eating a bowl of soup with a piece of bread. But it still didn't feel right. I added in a window. This time it wasn't just a window, though. It was a window looking out onto a bustling street. The world is full of slow stories that no one tells. This image and the idea of unshed tears felt like a slow story. The longer you look at it, the more it pulls you in, the deeper it becomes. People rushing by, cars honking, children laughing. The woman is still sitting in her dark apartment. The composition was working. The colors were connecting the two shots together. Even the lighting was starting to feel right, but the woman's face remained blank. She had no expression. I knew I couldn't leave it like that. Feelings needed to be on her face. But now, there's a connection to the outside world. She's still a part of it, even if it doesn't feel like it. Something was off. Maybe she was homeless. No, maybe she just lived alone and was incredibly lonely. She watched the young couple at the next table laughing and talking, their hands intertwined. She looked down at her own hands, empty and aching, and needed to scale it back, focus on one character. Maybe an older woman like in my short film Swallow. She could be sitting in a cafe, for example, watching other people. As I wrote this down, I started to feel excited again, like I was onto something. Not because I didn't understand the concept or had a hard time visualizing it, but because there were so many ways to interpret it and embody it. I walked around the city, sat in cafes, observed people watching other people. I took notes, drew little sketches, collected reference photos, but nothing felt right. My mind kept wandering to stories. A story about someone who was so desperate they had nothing left to give but their tears. It was almost overwhelming. Empty Pot by itself has such a strong image, something stark and simple like a still life painting. It immediately calls to mind ideas of hunger, poverty, quiet despair. And then there's Cry, which is both an action and a reaction, something primal and honest. Giving voice to that desperation through tears, I love the direction this was going in my head, but I was struggling to capture it. My first attempt was literally just that, a still life. Over the next few days, I kept thinking about the prompt. I listened to songs while staring at walls, started jotting down some ideas, but it was too much. I made another little sketch, this time focusing on her hands. They would be the center of attention. Now, I've written scenes like this before, but it always helps to have some sort of action to ground it. As I stared at it, I realized what it was missing. The woman wasn't crying. She wasn't reacting. She was numb, so I tried something different. I leaned into the contrast between the two shots, the busy street and the still life, and started adding color to the background. There's a beautiful line in a poem by Wendell Berry that goes, "But I still felt like something was missing." I put down my pencil and stepped back. It hit me then what I needed to do, and that was it. When I think about this illustration now, it still makes me sad. I hope that's what I've done here. The word lantern popped into my head when I was thinking of titles for this episode. I think it's because of the way that the light looked in the river, like a little flickering flame suspended over the water. And so then I added the word for the promised land to the end of it, and that seemed to capture what I wanted to say with this story. Someone has given the order to construct it here, high up in this fortress. Someone had to take that order and make it real. Then there were the workers, brick by brick, building walls and laying foundations. It's not based on any historical figures or events, just entirely made up. He squinted against the glare of the sun bouncing off the white limestone. From this angle, he couldn't see much of the city, only the river snaking through the trees in the distance. He adjusted his tools and prepared to start his work for the day, where the thing he created would actually be used by people in the city. When he worked on these jobs, he would leave his mark. There weren't many people living in the city center at the moment. He had believed her, but now he wasn't so sure. He thought about asking her again, but decided against it. He didn't want to offend her in any way. It wasn't his place to question the will of the Lord. He was just the humble servant who put stone on stone until the will of God was realized. Was it just to earn money? Did they believe, like the abbess, that the Lord had commanded the building of this church? He stepped over a loose stone and reached out to steady himself. On the palm of his hand, he saw a small spider scuttling away. He watched it disappear into a crack and smiled. Life was returning to the city. Most of the residents had fled after the recent battle with the Crusaders. Building a church here felt wrong to him, like putting a candle on a table in the middle of an empty room. In the darkness, he could hear the sound of hammers and chisels ringing out. Now the scaffolding was coming down, and the church stood revealed in the moonlight. Someone was lighting a lantern nearby, and its glow spread like a pool of honeyed light on the ground below. He wished he knew what was going on, wished he understood the point of the church. But he didn't need to understand. He just needed to keep building. Something only he would know about. A special design element. An intricate pattern hidden somewhere in plain sight. He did this because he wanted to. Because he liked the idea that somewhere out there in the city, workers swarmed the site each morning and disappeared behind the scaffolding. Some days the master builder would go to the market and buy treats for the workers, dates and figs and sweet coconut candy. He knew they needed something to lift their spirits. Building a church wasn't easy. The master builder noticed the newcomers were quiet and serious, their faces weathered by the sun and wind. They seemed uncomfortable in the dusty, noisy environment, but they worked hard. They were skilled builders themselves, and their presence helped speed up the construction. No matter how devout the workers, they needed to be reminded that what they were doing was important. Someone would come across something he had made and feel a little bit of wonder. The master builder saw a small boat on the river, squinted, trying to make out details. Watched the boat dock on the far bank, and several men come out of it. They were carrying planks of cedar wood and tools. The men walked toward the citadel, stopping occasionally to chat with people they met along the way. They arrived at the church late in the afternoon and stopped to talk with the abbess. After a few minutes, she led them through a gate in the wall and into the courtyard. He knew it was silly, pointless almost, but it made him happy. I hope you enjoy it. That wasn't why he did what he did. The man had demanded the finest materials and hundreds of workers toiling around the clock until the project was finished. At the end, the man had looked at the completed tomb and declared it worthy of a king. The master builder had felt nothing. He hadn't even signed his name to the final invoice. What was the point of any of it? If the man was dead, he would never know. And if he did know, he would likely be too busy enjoying the afterlife to care. For him, it was about more than money. It was about making something beautiful in a world that sometimes didn't seem worth the effort. Trusting that the person who hired them would pay them for their work. Building a church on the orders of the abbess of a monastery outside the city. This job was different from other jobs. The woman who commissioned him had been very clear about the church needing to be built in a particular place, right on the edge of the citadel, overlooking the river. She had shown him plans drawn up by a team of architects employed by the monastery. But I also thought of the word lantern as being something small and fragile, kind of like a flame. It came to me when I was on assignment in Cairo, and I visited the famous hanging church. It is said that the church received its name from a mispronunciation by European tourists who meant to say, "Hi, church." When I was a teenager, I used to spend hours poring over books of world architecture, tracing the lines of buildings I admired. I never went to university to study architecture, but I still love it. And I've had the opportunity to visit some beautiful buildings all around the world, but instead called it hanging, which made sense to me because the church is built within the citadel of Salahidin, high up above the city. And then I thought maybe we could have someone waiting for something with hope that whatever they waiting for will bring them light in their life, make things less dark. Then I started to think about the idea of waiting. How that could be a good title too, but waiting for what? I wanted to see what it would look like as a drawing. So I traced one of my photographs and colored it in with pencils. It was really fun to do, and I had no agenda behind it, just pure creative play. This isn't a new story, but it is one that I had filed away in my mind for many years. But as I stood there looking at the church, I began to imagine how this structure might have come to be built. I don't know if I told you this before, but I used to want to be an architect. If you've been following along on social media, you may have seen some of my photographs from inside this church. Now I'm going to tell you a story that was inspired by the hanging church. The master builder stared up at the scaffoldings reaching toward the sky like the arm of a clock. He was the best in the business, or so he was told, and people were willing to pay handsomely for his services. He remembered a time when the ruler of the city had sent for him, summoned him to build a tomb for an important dignitary. What the master builder liked doing was working on projects where he could see the purpose. He was working on one of these projects now. He looked up at the nearly completed church and wondered why she had chosen this spot. He had asked the abbess about this, and she simply told him that it was the Lord's will that the church be built here. As the months passed, the church grew taller and larger. One evening, while sitting on his roof watching the sunset, over the next few days, the men joined the other workers building the church. Still, the master builder couldn't help but feel puzzled by their presence. Why had they come to this abandoned place? On the day the church was finished, the master builder stood back to admire his work. That night, he sat on his rooftop, watching the first stars appear. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you to my supporters for your continued support. And here we are at the end of another week. It's time to look back at some of my favorite moments from the past 7 days. Let's get into it. I didn't see this show until about a week ago. Okay, I know it's been out for a while, but I just got around to watching it, and wow, I am glad I did. This is from the sitcom My Boys, which is sadly no longer available on HBO Max. So if you want to watch this, you'll have to find it somewhere else. Whoever made it did an amazing job. I'm shamelessly including it because it fits perfectly with the title of this video. Thank you all so much for watching and supporting me. It means more to me than you'll ever know. Remember to stay hydrated and get some exercise. Don't forget to vote. Most importantly, take care of yourself. I'll see you all next time. Bye. In this scene, see Cheese Hattori confess her feelings to Elias Ainsworth, the main love interest. She tells him that she loves him and wants to be with him forever. He responds by asking her to marry him, and she accepts. I know this show gets a lot of hate, but I don't care. I think it's beautiful inside and out. The animation is gorgeous, and the characters are well developed. Sure, the plot isn't groundbreaking, but it doesn't need to be. I think this show is perfect the way it is. Anyways, if you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend it. I know it looks simple, but it's effective, and that's what matters. Speaking of thumbnails, I've actually been thinking of changing mine. So let me know in the comments which one you prefer, the old one or the new one. Also, if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button. It really helps out. This is the scene where the main character, PJ Byrne, who's a sports reporter covering the Chicago Bears, decides to start calling her group of guy friends my boys. She starts off by testing out different names like the Pack, the Crew, and the Posse, but nothing sticks. Then she settles on my boys, and the guys are not happy about it. So they try to protest, but she doesn't budge, and eventually they all accept it. I've seen every episode of this show multiple times, and it never gets old. It's smart, funny, and has a great cast. Sadly, it was canceled after only 3 seasons, but thankfully all the episodes are available on DVD. If you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend it. The show is hilarious, and the writing is top-notch. This movie is poetic, symbolic, and slow, which means it might not be for everyone. Some people might find it boring, but if you're in the mood for something sleepy and emotional, then I think you'll enjoy it. The basic premise of the film is that a young woman is in love with a man, but he's engaged to someone else. She tries to win him over, but he's too caught up in his own life. So she eventually gives up and moves on. I love the symbolism used throughout the movie, and the performances were solid. Now, this film isn't perfect by any means. The pacing is slow, and there are moments where it feels like the movie is dragging. But overall, I thought it was worth a watch. I love how each character is so fleshed out and their storylines are so engaging. There's so many moments that had me in stitches. But the scene that really stood out to me was when Henry, played by the multi-talented Nick Offerman, finally opened up to his coworkers about his divorce. The way he delivered those lines was so heartbreaking, and it was so well written. I loved it. Plus, watching the rest of the party members console him was nice to see. Overall, I think this show deserves more recognition. It's witty, funny, and has a great cast. And now that it's back, I'm excited to see what the rest of the season has in store for us. But this scene is so freaking good. I just had to include it in the recap. We see FBI agent Peter Sutherland, played by the charming, handsome, dreamy Peter Sarsgaard, walk into a secret, creepy facility that could possibly hold the key to solving his current case. Of course, he walks in with his signature slick-back hair and tailored suit, looking like $1,000,000. Honestly, just thinking about him makes me feel hot. In fact, the whole cast of this show is amazing. And even though I don't love the plot or pacing, I can't stop watching it, so it gets a thumbs up from me. First up, we have a snippet from the 3rd episode of Netflix's The Night Agent, directed by Sean Ryan. I'm sorry, I'm late. I am a sucker for found family tropes, and these two are no exception. We watch as Joel finds out the truth about his daughter and the lengths he would have to go to in order to bring her back. What follows is one of the most gut-wrenching scenes in the entire show. Filled with raw emotion and fantastic acting from both Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, I am going to miss this show so much. If you haven't watched the series yet, do yourself a favor and check it out. You won't regret it. Next up, we have a clip from the series finale of The Last of Us. Just seeing these two together gives me shivers. I also need to talk about the newest episode of Party Down, which was released last Thursday. But speaking of witty banter, let's move on to our next clip. This next one is a bit different from the others. It's from an indie film called Dotted Silence, and it's available on various platforms. Now, before we move on to our final clip, I need to take a moment to appreciate the thumbnail for this video. Anyways, moving on to our last clip. This is from an anime called The Ancient Magus Bride, and it's one of my all-time favorites. But now it's time for the final moments of this video. If there's one thing I know about describing games, it's that knowing your audience is key. Of course, this game is targeted at women, and specifically women who like otam. But beyond that, the audience is quite broad. There are some very vague and common themes here. Searching for love, self-discovery, helping others, finding your place in the world. And while these themes could apply to almost anybody, they definitely resonate more with certain people than others. It's more of a slow burn. To the stars. Whenever I hear this phrase, I immediately think of distance. Things that are far away, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. I always appreciate hearing different perspectives. And I think it's important to note that there's no right or wrong answer here. It's all about what resonates with you. Personally, the phrase evokes a sense of longing and hope. It's a reminder that even when things seem bleak and hopeless, it's about embracing the silence, the awkward pauses, and the unspoken words. It's about learning to communicate effectively and honestly. It's about recognizing the beauty in everyday moments and appreciating the people in our lives. Most of all, it's about realizing that we are not alone. We're all searching for connection and love. We are all trying to find our place in the world. And while the journey may be difficult and uncertain, it is also beautiful and transformative. So take a deep breath, let go of your worries, and dive into the experience. Embrace the silence. Cherish the connections you make, and allow yourself to be transformed by the experience. Remember, you are not alone. We are all in this together, reaching for the stars side by side. There's always something worth striving for. For me, that's the beauty of it. It's a quiet whisper in the darkness. A gentle nudge reminding me to keep going, to keep reaching for the stars, no matter how far away they may seem. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's always a glimmer of hope waiting for us, like a distant star shining through the darkness, guiding us towards the light. When I was little, I remember looking up at the stars and thinking about how distant and unreachable they were. I would imagine myself soaring through space. I'm giving you the itch. IO link because I think it's the easiest. I recommend setting aside a good amount of time. Every time I tell them no, there's no such thing as a bad ending. Even if it seems that way at first, everything happens for a reason, so don't beat yourself up over it. The choices you make are what shape your experience. They're what make the story your own. So embrace them, Own them and be proud of them. I can promise you that every ending, no matter how bittersweet, will teach you something about yourself. You'll learn more about who you are and what you want out of life. You'll discover new strengths and weaknesses. You'll come to understand the importance of empathy and compassion. And most importantly, you'll learn that you are not alone. Even when things seem dark and hopeless, there's always a reason to keep going. Sit back, relax, and immerse yourself in the experience. If you want to take notes or screenshots, go for it. But don't feel like you have to. The most important thing is to enjoy the ride. Once you finish the game, feel free to replay it as much as you want. Every choice you make will lead to a different outcome. There are plenty of endings to discover. Don't worry about making the right choice. There is no right choice. Everything will work out the way it's supposed to. Traveling from planet to planet, meeting new people, and experiencing new things. I had this crazy notion that I could just reach out and touch the stars. But as I got older, I began to understand that they were truly out of my grasp. Now when I look up at the stars, I see a reminder of my own smallness and insignificance. I am just one tiny speck in an infinite universe. But despite their distance, the stars still hold a certain fascination for me. They represent something beautiful and unattainable, something that I can only admire from afar. I think that's a pretty fitting metaphor for this game. Our main character is lost and alone, searching for something she can't quite reach. She's searching for connection, for love, for meaning. But just like the stars, these things seem to be out of her grasp. Despite the distance, though, she continues to reach for the stars, hoping that one day she'll be able to touch them. Maybe one day, she'll find what she's looking for. Maybe one day she'll find herself. You'll spend most of your time walking around, observing the world, and talking to its inhabitants. There are no mini-games, no real challenges. The game doesn't require any skill or talent. It's meant to be relaxing. Most importantly, it's meant to make you reflect. What do you say to the townspeople? How do you act when someone's talking to you? How do you respond to romance? Do you stay silent? Are you honest? What do you believe in? What's keeping you up at night? These are all questions Dotted Silence asks without explicitly saying them. It doesn't give you answers. It lets you discover your own. There are a lot of ways to get across these themes and messages, but my favorite by far is through the way we refer to our main character. You'll notice that throughout the video I never call her by name. Instead, I refer to her as you, your, or yourself. I did that on purpose. Because this game is meant to be an immersive experience. The idea is that you play as yourself. You are the main character and this story is happening to you. It's all happening inside your head. That's why the graphics are so simple. That's why the background music is so unobtrusive. And that's why the characters feel so natural and lifelike. Their movements are subtle and realistic. This isn't just a dating sim where you pick dialogue options to raise stats. These characters feel like real people. They breathe, they fidget, they look away when they get uncomfortable. They have mannerisms and habits. And if you pause the game, they're going to be doing something. No matter what, don't worry. None of that stuff matters. The most important thing is that you feel connected to the main character. The game gives you no context for who she is. She has no backstory, no personality. You simply exist. As such, it's up to you to fill in the blanks. You choose how she acts and reacts, how she looks, how she feels. In many ways, you are literally playing as yourself. Think of it like reading a book. A good book will immerse you in its world. You'll identify with the characters and find their experiences relatable. Even if nothing directly happens to you, the experience itself will leave an impact. At the very least, you'll have something new to think about. You might even learn something about yourself. And that's exactly what Dotted Silence is all about. It's not a game filled to the brim with events and plot twists. Now let's talk about the title. I'm curious. What do you think of when you hear the phrase "to the stars"? There are multiple ways to get this game. It might sound silly, but I've actually had people message me asking if they ruined the game by making a certain choice. That's what Dotted Silence is all about. Welcome to the Cozy Mysteries channel, where we embrace the magic of slow, TV, and the wonder of ASMR. Today's video is extra special because it's the first of our brand new series. I hope you enjoy this one. I certainly enjoyed making it for you. Before we begin, I would love to invite you to follow along with this video by pressing the little paw print on your screen. You can follow along with the video and discover even more cozy mysteries. Give it a try. I think you'll love it. Let's begin our cozy mystery now. The playful antics of the squirrels add a touch of whimsy to the scene. Fallen leaves provide a rich habitat for wildlife, offering shelter, food, and warmth.
Ow.
The decaying leaves also nourish the soil. The sight of this wintry landscape evokes a sense of tranquility and wonder. In the midst of winter, surrounded by the serene beauty of fallen leaves and snow, you feel a sense of peace wash over you. Its waters cascading over smooth stones. It's creating a tapestry of colors and textures. Walking through this enchanting landscape feels like stepping into a dream. The sound of running water mingles with the rustling leaves. You find solace in the quiet grandeur of the season's transition, embracing the beauty of letting go. The setting sun paints the clouds in hues of orange, pink, and purple, creating a breathtaking farewell to the day. The forest comes alive with the twinkling of fireflies, their tiny lights dancing among the trees. Before we end our cozy mystery, I want to send a big thank you to our supporters for making these videos possible. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to show your support. Your support helps us to keep bringing you the content you love. Thank you for joining me on this cozy mystery. Till next time, stay curious and keep seeking the magic in everyday moments. The nocturnal chorus of crickets and owls fills the air, signaling the arrival of night. As you continue your exploration, the gentle breeze carries the sweet scent of wildflowers and damp earth. The symphony of birdsong fills the air, creating a harmonious backdrop to your peaceful surroundings. With closed eyes, you listen to the gentle symphony around you. You carry with you the serenity and beauty you experienced, finding solace in the knowledge that nature's wonders will always be there to embrace you. Feeling a deep sense of connection with the natural world, you discover hidden wonders within the melting snow and fallen leaves. Delicate wildflowers emerge, their petals unfurling to greet the day. The forest floor becomes a mosaic of colors, patterns, and textures, inviting you to pause and appreciate the intricate details, creating a soothing melody, illuminating dancing motes of dust and creating shimmering pools of light on the ground. The dappled sunlight filters through the leaves, casting intricate patterns that shift and change as the day progresses. The brook reflects the surrounding beauty, mirroring the colors of the fallen leaves in the sparkling sky. You sit on a nearby log, mesmerized by the dance of light and water. The silence of the forest is broken only by the gentle whisper of the wind through the bare branches. You take a deep breath, feeling rejuvenated by the crisp, cold air, providing essential nutrients for the trees and plants. This series is inspired by the whispering voice inside all of us that craves peace and quiet. The fallen leaves from the previous season become a thing of beauty. Snow crunches underfoot, muffling the sound of your steps as you wander through a forest path. The crisp white snow contrasts sharply with the fiery hues of the fallen leaves, forming a striking and picturesque landscape. Saturated colors pop against the snow, creating a vibrant yet melancholic scene. And as the season progresses, the snow begins to melt, revealing glimpses of the vibrant colors beneath. Patches of green emerge, signaling the return of life and growth. The sun glints off the snow, creating a sparkling wonderland. The trees adorned with white seem to reach out to you, inviting you to explore their silent realm. It's the little voice that reminds us to take a moment for ourselves, amidst the chaos of everyday life. It's the encouragement to pause and breathe, to lean back and relax. So here's to embracing the silence and finding solace in the quiet moments. Fallen leaves paint the ground in hues of gold, crimson, and brown, transforming the landscape into a breathtaking masterpiece. Their descent creates a mesmerizing spectacle. It invites us to pause and appreciate the ephemeral nature of beauty. Cheers. And today's cozy mystery is called Fallen Leaves. Fallen leaves evokes a sense of time slipping through our fingers like sand. As the leaves fall, they become a metaphor for passing time and forgotten seasons. Just as the trees shed their leaves, we too experience change and the letting go of what was once important to us. These fallen leaves serve as a reminder to cherish each season of life and to find beauty in the process of change. We see them crunching under our feet, floating down from the trees in graceful slow motion, or gathering in great piles, ready to be swept away. The fallen leaves become a symbol of time's relentless passage and the impermanence of our existence. The air filled with the scent of decaying foliage and the sound of your footsteps on the carpet of fallen leaves. The trees stand bare, their branches reaching towards the sky like gnarled fingers. The wind whispers through the leaves, creating a symphony of rustling sounds. You stop to admire a vibrant red maple leaf twirling slowly in the air, suspended in time before it gently settles on the ground. They remind us that nothing lasts forever and that change is an inevitable part of life. Yet within this melancholy, there is a certain charm and poetry to it all. Imagine walking through a park on a crisp autumn day. As you continue your walk, notice a family of squirrels scurrying about, gathering acorns and nuts to store for the winter. In the stillness of a winter's day, when the world is blanketed in snow and the trees stand frozen in time, you come across a clearing where the snow-covered leaves have formed a thick carpet on the ground. The interplay between the snow and the fallen leaves creates a visual feast. You stumble upon a babbling brook. It's a place where the boundaries between seasons blur, leaving you in awe of nature's artistry. The melting snow and fallen leaves intertwine. This moment of stillness and reflection allows you to connect with the rhythm of nature. The play of light and shadow through the trees creates a magical atmosphere. Rays of sunshine pierce the canopy. You find a secluded spot nestled among the trees and allow yourself to relax. And as the day draws to a close, the sky transforms into a canvas of vibrant colors. And so your journey through the enchanting world of falling leaves and melting snow draws to a close. If you're looking for more cozy mysteries, please click on the playlist on screen now. Some people, when they're young, search for excitement, but as they get older, they start to find peace in the simple things. Like a walk after it rains or the scent of freshly mowed grass. This is a story about one such man. It's about a peaceful day in the village where he lives, a day just like any other until the end of it. He was born and raised here. His back hurt and the sun had almost set. He had walked it countless times as a boy and young man. Back then, he used to run along this path, raced his friends, raced the setting sun, raced the shadows. How fast could he run? How far could he go? What did it feel like to be the fastest, to outrun everything?
Back then.
He thought life was all about outrunning, getting somewhere, being someone, having something. He could see the path on the other side of the field, the path that led to the house, the path he had walked countless times before. He remembered sitting in its shade as a child, listening to his grandfather tell stories of the old days as he got closer. He could see that it was a small oil lamp hanging from a wooden frame. The lamp was old and battered, but the flame was steady and strong. It was the only source of light in the darkness, and it seemed to beckon him forward. Stories of a time before the village was built, when the land was wild and free. He turned and walked away, his steps lighter now, his head held high. Stories of a time when the path through the rice fields was just a whisper in the wind, a deeper understanding of himself, of the world, of the nature of things. He was no longer afraid of the darkness. If you like the story, please subscribe and share with your friends. We'll be releasing new episodes every week, so don't forget to tune in. Thanks for listening. He had seen the light, and the light was within him. But now it was just a memory, a ghost of a path. It was like a dream, something that had once been real, but was now gone forever. But now he didn't want to outrun anything anymore. It was warm and inviting. He closed his eyes and leaned against the frame, letting the warmth envelop him. For a moment, he forgot about the path, about the rice fields, about everything. There was only the flame and the darkness, and a feeling of deep, abiding peace. He didn't know where he was going, didn't care. The moon was higher now, and the night was darker. The stars seemed to be watching him, cold and distant. He felt alone, utterly alone, in the vast emptiness of the night. He walked slowly, his head bent, his shoulders slumped. He felt the weight of the years pressing down on him, the weight of all the paths he had walked in his life, and all the paths that had been taken from him. Now he just wanted to be here in this moment, walking home through the silent fields, listening to the crickets, watching the fireflies blink their lights like fallen stars. It was so big that it looked more like a primeval monster than a tree. It had been there long before the village was built. Something was different. Something was not right. The path he had walked countless times before, the path he knew like the back of his hand, it was gone, wasn't there anymore. Instead, there was a wide ditch where the path used to be. On the other side of the ditch, He could see the last of the rice plants swaying in the breeze. The plants were tall and thin, and they looked like ghosts in the moonlight. They made a wall that blocked his way to the house. He stood there for a while, staring at the ditch. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. It seemed impossible. It would still be there long after it was gone. He stood under the tree for a while. Maybe the path had been washed away. But that didn't make sense. The path had been there for as long as he could remember. It wasn't just a path. It was a part of him. How could it just disappear? Had someone erased it? Bulldozed it out of existence? He couldn't remember. He closed his eyes trying to piece together the fragments. But all he saw were the swaying rice plants and the endless expanse of the night sky. Looking up at the endless expanse of the night sky, he walked slowly along the ditch. The moonlight was cold and damp on his skin. He could feel the dampness seeping into his bones. The path was gone, and with it, a part of him had vanished. Then he continued walking. His house was just a little further. He could see the lights of the oil lamp in his courtyard, a small pool of light in the gathering darkness. Walking home, he walked slowly, breathing deeply the humid evening air. It smelled of rain and soil and rice. The sky was still bright orange, but the sun had disappeared behind the tall trees on the edge of the village. Now the sky was dark blue again, and the first stars were coming out. There was the Big Dipper hanging low in the west, and the Southern Cross high above. The Milky Way stretched across the heavens like a silver thread. The night was filled with the sounds of insects and the distant barking of dogs. A lone owl hooted softly. The moon was full and round like a giant white disk. The rhythm of the seasons was his lullaby. The smell of the rice fields his constant companion. Every year it was the same. In the beginning, the fields would be flooded, then come the green shoots, then the young shoots, then the ripening grain. And every year he looked out from his house and saw this panorama slowly change. And every year it seemed to him that it was the most beautiful thing in the world. Today, it was harvest time. It was already late afternoon when our hero finished his work in the fields. He stopped by an old banyan tree. Its branches were thick and gnarled, its leaves a deep green. There was a narrow path between the rice fields and his house. It was overgrown with weeds, but he knew it well. And then he saw it. Then he started to remember, came to him in fragments like pieces of a shattered mirror. There had been heavy rain for days. When he opened his eyes, the moon was higher in the sky. It was as if the earth itself was trying to hide what had happened. He turned around and looked at the rice fields. He turned and walked away from the fields. He walked past the banyan tree. It loomed over him like a giant, its branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. He walked on, his steps slow and heavy. Then he saw a light in the distance, a small, flickering flame that danced in the darkness. He walked towards it, drawn by its warmth. He reached out and touched the flame, stayed there for a long time, maybe hours, maybe minutes. Time had no meaning. He was beyond everything. When he finally opened his eyes, the flame was still there, dancing in the darkness. But he was no longer drawn to it. The path through the rice fields may have been lost, but he had found something else, something more important. This is the end of the episode. There are so many ways to start a story, but what if it began with silence? It's not an uncomfortable quiet, but a peaceful one, like the kind that blankets a room after a shared secret or a moment of understanding. In this story, there's a character named Sarah who's haunted by her past, specifically a pivotal moment when she let someone she loved slip away. Startled, Sarah turned to find a young man with kind eyes and a warm smile standing beside her. His presence was like the unexpected lull in a storm, a moment of stillness that surprised her. She pushes people away because she's afraid to feel that pain again. But one day she meets someone who helps her confront her past. Telling stories about the haunting echoes in her heart wasn't something she did casually, but something about Ben's quiet strength made her want to try. Taking a deep breath, she started to tell him about the empty space in her life, a void left by someone she'd loved and lost. It was a comfortable quiet, the kind that comes after a shared secret, a moment of truth. Ben didn't offer empty platitudes or try to fix things. He simply sat there, his presence a steady anchor in the storm of emotion she'd unleashed. Let me show you how this story might begin. The words left were more than just lost opportunities. To delve into the depths of her story, to explore the roots of the pain that had become such a big part of her life. They were fragments of her story, There was something about his quiet strength, his ability to be present in a world full of distractions that drew her in. To find the words I've lost, the moments I've missed, the chances I haven't taken, pieces of her heart that had hardened with each passing year, she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Of apologies that were never spoken, his voice as comforting as the low hum of the wind. Carrying their hopes and dreams on its invisible wings, as the stars began to appear one by one, they rose from their seats, rustling up emotions she thought she'd buried long ago. Each leaf crunching under their feet was a reminder of the journey they were about to take, a journey to find the words left, and in doing so, with each step, Sarah felt lighter, as if some of the weight she'd been carrying for years was lifting. Tomorrow, he said, we'll start to find your words left. Discover the strength and resilience that lay dormant within Sarah all along. Words left, she echoed, the phrase hanging in the air like a half-remembered dream. Yes, she whispered, tomorrow. The wind seemed to carry his essence, the scent of pine and the promise of a new day. The wind whispered secrets to the trees, and the stars twinkled as if sharing in their adventure. The wind's lullaby was a constant in her ear, mingling with the beating of her heart, creating a rhythm of hope and anticipation, encouraging readers to interpret it in their own way, while also providing a sense of comfort and familiarity. It's a gentle reminder to cherish the power of stories and the memories they hold dear. I think sometimes we hold on to those moments as if the story is a faded photograph that has been passed down through generations, its edges softened by time. It suggests that the events of the story happened long ago, and yet their impact continues to be felt in the present. Those words left unspoken, not because we want to keep hurting, but because we're afraid of what letting go might do to us. It also sets the tone for the narrative voice, which is calm, poetic, and reminiscent of a soft whisper. Yes, he said, his voice firm. I'll help you find your words left. That's true, she said. Her mind was too full of thoughts, too charged with the electricity of anticipation. But I already feel like we're on an adventure, a journey into the unknown corners of my heart. To confront the silence that had haunted her for so long. Together, they would embark on a journey to uncover the truths hidden within the words left. It invites the audience to lean in close and listen intently, to pay attention to the subtle details and unspoken emotions that permeate the narrative, to piece together the fragments of her soul and rewrite her story. She told him about how this memory had shaped her. She had someone to help her navigate the complexities of her heart, to guide her through the labyrinth of memories and emotions that had become her story, how it had become a constant presence in her life, like an unopened letter, its words echoing in the chambers of her heart, and of the silent understanding she once shared with this person. As she spoke, the wind rustled the leaves around them. We haven't even started the adventure, as if sharing in her tale. It was a story she'd carried for a long time, its weight sometimes unbearable. The wind was a constant in Sarah's life, even when she couldn't hear it. It was the soft brush of leaves against her window on a summer night. Memories were much like the wind, she thought. Their presence keenly felt, even when they couldn't be seen. Some memories brought smiles to her face. It was as if Ben, without saying a word, had understood the weight of her story. There was no pity in his eyes, only empathy and a quiet strength that made her want to be better, to heal the wounds of the past. Ben continued, his gaze fixed on the horizon. Even the words left, they stay with us, shaping us in ways we don't always understand. While others, like fallen leaves, crunched under her feet, reminding her of the cold grip of winter, the man didn't push for more, respecting the pause, the comfortable silence settling between them, the gentle sway of branches during a winter storm, the low hum that accompanied her through every season. It was quiet and invisible, yet always present, just like her memories. She sat on the porch swing, its chains singing a familiar song as she pushed off the ground. He told her his name was Ben, that he'd moved to town a few weeks ago, making her feel seen. When she paused, unsure if she should share more, he asked, "Is everything all right?" His question hung in the air, gentle and sincere. He was a writer seeking inspiration in the small town's quiet charm. And as the conversation flowed, Sarah found herself opening up, sharing stories of her own life in a way she hadn't done in years. She was lost in thought when a voice startled her. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" agreed, her voice catching slightly, as the sun dipped below the horizon. Painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, they talked. Ben listened patiently, his gaze steady and encouraging. Sarah hesitated. She spoke of dreams deferred and chances missed, but as she looked into Ben's eyes, she saw understanding, not judgment. When she finished, the silence wasn't awkward. And in that shared silence, Sarah felt a sense of peace she hadn't known she'd been missing. He finally spoke. His words were like a gentle breeze stirring the leaves in her chest. "They say nothing is ever truly lost." Sarah nodded, realizing he was right. As the sky deepened into twilight, they sat in silence, the wind whispering secrets only they could hear. Sarah felt a sudden urge to understand. She looked at Ben, his profile illuminated by the soft glow of the setting sun. "Would you help me?" Ben turned, his eyes searching hers. "Help you what?" "To find my words left," she said, the words catching in her throat. Ben didn't hesitate. And in that moment, as the last rays of sunlight faded away, Sarah knew she wasn't alone. With Ben by her side, she felt ready to face the echoes of her past. The wind seemed to sigh in agreement. "Thank you, Ben," Sarah said, her voice thick with emotion. "For listening, for understanding. You don't have to thank me yet," he replied, a playful twinkle in his eye. She smiled, the sound echoing with newfound hope. Hand in hand, they walked along the path, the wind guiding their steps. The moon replaced the sun, casting silvery light upon the path ahead. Sarah and Ben walked in comfortable silence, the unspoken understanding deepening between them. When they finally parted ways at her doorstep, Ben turned to her, his eyes shining in the moonlight. Sarah nodded, her heart pounding with anticipation and a hint of nervousness. As she watched him walk away, she knew this was just the beginning. And as Sarah closed her door, she realized that sleep wouldn't come easy tonight. In the quiet of her room, surrounded by the ghosts of memories, Sarah lay awake. The title is a metaphor for the story's central theme of confronting the past and finding closure. This style of storytelling feels intimate, like a secret being shared between the narrator and the reader. The title also evokes a sense of nostalgia. Overall, the title adds a layer of depth and complexity to the story. Hi friends, it's me here with another installment in our series where we explore how music can evoke smells. Today we're looking at a song that I feel captures a particular kind of feeling or mood. It's not really about a specific smell, but more about what it feels like when you catch a whiff of something and are instantly transported back to a certain time and place. So today's song is Half Moon by London Grammar. My ex and I had been together for almost 5 years, and we had a baby together. So it was a very intense, life-altering kind of relationship. I was instantly transported back to those difficult months, and it brought back all of those raw emotions. It made me feel less alone in my grief. In the quiet of the night, I see the shape of you in the moonlight. We hear about missed calls and apologies and the lingering presence of the past. The lyrics are full of regret and longing. The vocals are breathy and emotive, and they add a layer of intimacy to the song. The production is sparse and atmospheric. If I was a movie, you would watch me in black and white, which I think is such a beautiful image. It suggests that the speaker views their relationship with this other person as something that is timeless and universal. It doesn't matter if the relationship ended badly or if there was ever a happy ending. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and I hope you enjoyed this little exploration of music and smell. If you have any suggestions for songs that you'd like me to cover in the future, please let me know. And until next time, take care. What matters is the impact that the relationship had on the speaker's life. It's a reminder that even though people come and go, the memories that we make with them last forever, which helps to create a sense of space and solitude. This is such a powerful image, and it perfectly encapsulates the theme of the song. The half moon is a symbol of incompleteness, and the speaker feels incomplete without this other person in their life. It's a reminder that even though we may try to move on and forget the past always has a hold on us. It's a part of who we are. All of these elements come together to create a soundscape that is both immersive and emotionally resonant. But they're also full of hope. Hope that one day things will be different. It's that feeling that you get when you look at an old photo album, or when you walk through your childhood. It's home. Or when you listen to a song that reminds you of someone that you used to know. It's a feeling that can be both painful and comforting. It's painful because it reminds us of what we've lost, but it's also comforting because it reminds us of what we once had. that one day the speaker will be reunited with the person they love. These lyrics immediately transport us back to a specific moment in time. The speaker is alone at night and they are looking up at the moon. It's a feeling that I think we can all relate to on some level. And it's a reminder that even though the past may seem painful at times, it's also a source of strength and wisdom. The moon is not just a celestial body up in the sky, but it is a symbol of the person that the speaker is thinking about. This is a really beautiful metaphor, and it sets the tone for the rest of the song. The moon becomes a character in its own right, a silent observer of the speaker's thoughts and feelings. It was like the song was written specifically for me, even though obviously it wasn't. But that's the thing about music, isn't it? It has this incredible ability to connect us to other people and to the things that matter most to us. It can bring back memories and emotions that we thought we had buried deep inside. It can remind us of who we are and why we're here. It can inspire us to be better people. It's a powerful thing. And when we broke up, I was really struggling to adjust to life on my own. I felt like I had lost a part of myself. I was constantly haunted by memories of us. And every time I tried to move on, it felt like I was betraying her. I wasn't really thinking like that. It's just that after 5 years of my life being so intertwined with someone else's, it was really hard to separate myself from that. It was like trying to erase a part of my own history. And that was really painful. And yeah, this one's easy for me, because the title itself pretty much encapsulates the feeling of the song, which is Half Moon. Ow. Obviously, there's not a specific smell associated with the half moon, but rather a collection of feelings and vibes. To me, a half moon represents incomplete moments, quiet nights, silent watching. There's also a bit of loneliness to it, but it's not a sad loneliness. It's just sort of a reflective loneliness. It's, like when you're lying in bed at night, maybe staring up at the ceiling, just thinking about your life and stuff, and you're just sort of alone with your thoughts. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just sort of peaceful, When I think of a half moon, I think of those cold winter nights where you look outside and the sun has gone down. But there's still some light lingering in the sky. But then again, smells aren't really just smells, are they? They're memories and emotions and experiences all bundled up in one little scent molecule. So I guess in a way the half moon is actually a smell. It's just one that only I can perceive because it's so personal to me. Like right before it turns completely dark. And there's something very comforting and familiar about this to me. It reminds me of my childhood in a way, and specifically of my dad, who would often take me out into the backyard in the evening and show me the constellations. He would point out all the different shapes and figures that could be seen in the stars, and it was always a special moment between the two of us. It was just him and I and the universe. And I remember feeling very connected to him and to the world around me in those moments. I think that feeling of connection, of being present and fully engaged with your surroundings, that's what I associate with the smell of a half moon. Now I know that doesn't really make sense because a half moon isn't really a smell. This song came out in 2013, and at the time I was going through a tough breakup. And so when I heard this song, it was like a balm to my soul. It spoke to me on a very deep level. The opening lines of the song are, "I found a new way to get in touch with you." As the song progresses, we learn more about the relationship between the speaker and this other person. The melody of the song is just as powerful as the lyrics. It's haunting and beautiful, and it perfectly captures the melancholy mood of the song. This song is so good at capturing a feeling that I associate with so many of my memories. The feeling of missing someone or something. There's a line in the song that goes, the final line of the song is, "I'm a half moon without you." Overall, Half Moon is a beautifully written and performed song that captures the feeling of missing someone or something. So I think that's it for today. I'm here with a quote and 2 song recommendations to start your Monday off right. This week's quote is from Ursula K. Le Guin. It reads, "No person has the right to counsel another person to break the law. No government has the right to command or force a person to break the law." This is from her essay collection, The Dispossessed. Essays on enduring and beginning. I read this book last week, and there were so many incredible quotes like this that I had to come back to this one. The beginning of this piece is characterized by a strong sense of longing and introspection. I got the sense of someone who is on a journey, both physically and emotionally, and who is reflecting on their experiences along the way. The use of strings and brass creates a rich, warm sound that evokes a feeling of nostalgia and warmth. It feels like coming home in a way. It means more to me than you know. And I also want to say thank you to everyone else who supports this channel in any way. Your support helps me to keep creating these videos, and I truly appreciate it, so thank you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care, like the protagonist is finally arriving at his destination after a long journey. The music builds gradually, and if you're looking for more book recommendations, you can check out the playlist books that have stayed with me. I'll link both of those playlists in the description. And as it does, I sense a growing feeling of quiet closure. It's not an overwhelming or triumphant conclusion, but rather a quiet, introspective one. It's as if the protagonist has come full circle and is ready to move forward with a newfound sense of peace and acceptance. Overall, Returning is a powerful and moving piece that captures the essence of completion and quiet confidence. The use of strings, brass, and woodwinds creates a rich, warm sound that evokes a sense of nostalgia and belonging. It's a beautiful example of how music can convey complex emotions without words. It's such an important reminder when we are considering the ideas of civil disobedience and nonviolent resistance and protest. Even if a law is unjust. They both come from the same movie, and I've actually featured songs from this movie before, but they were all sung by this amazing artist, Peter Gabriel. If you enjoyed my song and quote recommendations this week, please consider supporting the channel. Your support helps me to continue sharing music and books that inspire me with you. And if you have a favorite song or quote that you'd like to share with me, please leave it in the comments below. I always love reading your comments, and I've actually been inspired by some of them to create future episodes. So thank you for your support and for being a part of this community. This time around, I wanted to feature the instrumental version of the score because it's so good. I love what he did with the music for this film. I hope you enjoy it. It's still a law, and no one has the right to tell another person they should break that law. But at the same time, no one has the right to force or compel someone to follow that law either. It's a really fascinating discussion, and I encourage you to pick up a copy of The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin. This week, S2 songs are both instrumental tracks from the soundtrack of a film called Lion. The first is called Silent Dawn, and the second is called Returning. Let's get into it. When I heard the opening notes of this piece, I felt myself immediately transported to the vast open spaces of the Australian outback, which is where much of the movie takes place. There's a strong sense of stillness and solitude in this music, which I think fits well with the character of the protagonist and his journey. I listened further. I couldn't help but associate the music with the idea of peace. It feels like a moment of calm after a storm or a feeling of renewal. I don't know if this was the intention of the composer, but I got a sense that even in the silence, there is light. This music doesn't feel sad or melancholic, even though it is quiet. Instead, it feels hopeful and peaceful. It's a gentle reminder that sometimes the quietest moments can be the brightest. It's also worth noting the use of percussion in this piece. The didgeridoo, in particular, adds a layer of cultural significance, grounding the music in the landscape of the outback. Its deep resonant tones add a sense of ancient wisdom and connection to the land, which I think fits perfectly with the themes of identity and belonging that run through the film. Overall, Silent Dawn is a beautiful and evocative piece that captures the essence of solitude, peace, and renewal. The use of space, silence, and traditional instruments creates a truly unique and unforgettable listening experience. Okay, let's start with the first track, Silent Dawn. Now let's talk about the second track, Returning. So these are my 2 song recommendations for this week. And with that, let's wrap up this episode. Before I go, I want to give a huge shout out to my top supporters. Thank you so much for your support. If you're looking for more music recommendations, you can check out the playlist music that inspires me. Thank you again for joining me this week. If this quiet story whispered you to sleep, consider subscribing so we can meet again in another still night with another gentle tale. Good night.